morning, everybody. Welcome to another brand new live episode of the Outlaw Nation Show here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am the Outlaw John Rocha. I'm telling you, that's probably all the energy I got, ladies and gentlemen. I got vaxxed today. First shot right there. You can tell. Can you see the Band-Aid? There you go. You can see the Band-Aid got vaxxed. The Moderna vaccine took me forever to set up the appointment, and I finally got that thing at 11:30 this morning. Arms a little sore. I was definitely laying on the couch for 3 hours. It will wipe you out, possibly. Depends on your body chemistry. It certainly wiped me out. It may also be because I went to bed at 1:30 last night and got up at 7, so maybe I didn't get enough sleep. But I was wiped out this afternoon for a couple of hours. But I'm here to do the show. I'm excited to do the show. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you all tonight, talk a little wrestling, talk a little COVID as well, talking about the world and what's happening in the world, and talking some NFL and some sports news with my guest tonight. And I will introduce him in just a second, but just want to touch base with all of you. How are you doing? How are things? How's life? How are you? Are you getting vaccinated? Did you get your first shot? Did you get your second shot? Are you on course? Are you feeling okay about yourself, about your life? Let me know. You know, tonight is, the Outlaw Nation Show. Every Tuesday night is just a fun time to hang out with everybody, touch base with everybody, answer questions, hear from you all, have a little fun. So I'm looking forward to it tonight for sure. Make sure that you send in your Streamlabs and your Super Chats as we go on throughout the night. Of course, some of you a little bit later are going to be brought in live to ask questions, have fun conversations with me and my guest. And my producer, Sean Barreto, will be coming in about an hour mark to let you all know about that. Also, some programming stuff going on this week here on the Outlaw Nation channel. Yesterday, of course, we had Game Time. If you haven't watched that yet, me, Winston, and JTE talking about some sports news, but also answering a bunch of questions from you all, because we opened the doors up to some Q&A and some questions like, what is the greatest what if in sports? We talked about the Masters a little bit. We talked about some MLB news, a little bit of football news and what have you. So it was a good little fun time answering all your questions. If you haven't watched it yet, definitely watch that. Tomorrow, obviously, the Outlaw Nation Show tonight. Tomorrow, the Jedi Way is dropping. Tomorrow night, we will be dropping that. Of course, Geek Buddies as well. And then Impolite Truths on Thursday night. And then back at it again this weekend with Strong Style with my co-host and the gentleman who is joining me tonight. You know, ladies and gentlemen, just over the weekend, we're still recovering from an incredible event. Wrestlemania happened in Raymond James Stadium. You know, tonight I wasn't sure what I wanted to do about the show, and then it hit me. Why did I bring my co-host of Strong Style onto the show? He was at the event for both nights, attending it, braving the rainstorms, braving COVID, braving the drunken wrestling fans that sometimes are there, and braving the madness of it all. We're going to talk about his experiences, what it was like being there, what his favorite moments were, what the worst moments were, what's the crowd's actual reaction to situations, not what was maybe pumped in by the WWE. We're going to get basically a on the ground level analysis and experience from WrestleMania. We're also going to talk to Aaron, my co-host Aaron Turner. We're also going to talk to him about what it's like being in Florida during the COVID times. I think Aaron is a healthcare worker, what his experiences was like during this last year, dealing with all the stuff. He's also big into sports. We're going to touch on that. He's also got a bunch of memorabilia in his new house. And so maybe we'll get to see some of that too as we go along here tonight. So great to see so many of y'all. Justin Toner, Scott Welsh, Dan Harris, thank you so much. Of course, Haskell 420, Kevin Mertan joining us tonight. Going to be a lot of fun. So just sit back, relax. Let's have a little fun. Get to know my co-host of Strong Style. He's an avid pro wrestling fan. He's a writer. He's a producer. He's an on-air host for this. You guys have known him in years past as hosting a Schmodown after show as well, where me and him did battle, and we found our way, just like two foes often do. We're ending up now tag teaming on the same team on Strong Style every Saturday now, live at noon on the Outlaw Nation channel. I'm excited to bring him onto the show. So put on your wrestling boots, bust out your best wrestling robes, and let's get into all of it and hear what he's got to say about his experience at WrestleMania 37. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome to the show my brother, Aaron Turner. How are you, Aaron? What's going down?
What's going on out there? What's going on? I with you, my brother. I got shot number 1 today as well. So I am right there with you. The wife and I got our first COVID shots today. So she's feeling, her arm's pretty sore, she said. I haven't felt any effects.
No, of course not. Of course
so
not. So
too strong for it.
Yeah, you're out there lifting weights with it. Yeah, I get
it. No, I mean, it's a little, the injection site's a little sore, but that's typical with any vaccine. And let's not go crazy.
Right.
The Johnson & Johnson news, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but don't go crazy, folks. It's okay.
Well, what was the experience like for you? Because I mean, it took me forever to get signed up. Like, it just took forever for them to finally open the doors. They let me go sign up. Drove over there. Hardly anybody in line. It was an in and out process. I couldn't believe how quickly we were in and I literally was done in 20 minutes. And I was just shocked at how quickly. And they ask you all kinds of great questions. They talk to you about, to make sure you're okay. Are you going to faint? Or do you have any allergic reactions to stuff? Were you diagnosed with COVID? And then after you do the shot, you go and sit in an area and self-moderate yourself or self-watch yourself for 15 minutes, and then you can leave. What was your experience like? At least that was my experience. I was in and out in 20 minutes. What about you?
There were a lot of people at the vaccine site today. I don't know what it's usually like. We had appointments at, I think, 12:15.
Okay.
I got home about 1:30, so it wasn't. And I was probably about 15 minutes away from the sites. It wasn't terrible by any means. The process was pretty simple. You fill out a simple form, you sit in line, or you sit distanced in line, and then as you go up, like as people go up to get their shot, then someone cleans the chairs in front of you, and then you go up in that chair, and so on and so forth until you get there, and then they give you they ask you questions. Luckily, I don't know how this was for you, but with Florida, you have you can go and pre-register, so you put in all your information, your insurance stuff. Yeah, and they give you a QR code, and it's just really easy. It's like, hey, you got that code, boom. They got all your info. Then they give you the shot. You go sit down in that observation room that's got a big clock that tells you 15 minutes, and then they have EMS workers in there just in case something happens. People walking around asking if you're okay, and then after 15 minutes, that's it. You're gone. So pretty painless.
Yeah, I know. Pretty now we've never talked about this fully, Aaron, but are you a frontline healthcare worker? What is your job that you down there when you're not talking pro wrestling with me? What is it you do down there in Florida, and how excited were you to finally get vaccinated or start the process of vaccination?
Yeah, for real. My company just gives the vaccine, and I had to wait this long to get it. I mean,
I know. So that's why I'm asking.
It's whatever. But anyway, I wouldn't consider myself a frontline healthcare worker any longer. I kind of got away from that to go do the back end for the past couple of years, where I've been doing, basically what I do is any medications that people use that are super expensive, like cancer drugs or hepatitis medications or things that are super expensive that your insurance will fight you over. We kind of are arbitrators in the middle and try to get you get those through your insurance. My company helps people do that. So we handle a lot of pricey medications that normal pharmacies can't handle. So that don't want to pay the money to get it and store it. We will do that just so we can get it to our people that need it. Right. So we kind of just people in the background just pulling strings and doing stuff. I don't think the general people that come to our stores know that we even do this. It's just it's just there. It's just a service that's there. And there's a team of about 12 of us, I think, that work. I've worked from home for the past year since COVID started. They sent us all home. Usually I was in an office, but now I'm in my home office. So so they try to keep us safe and just doing back end stuff like that. Nothing crazy, but I used to be on the front lines a couple of years ago, and I'm glad I got out of that. So
you're dealing with a lot of madness, I imagine, a lot of tough stories to hear for sure on the front lines. I bet. And what about this Johnson & Johnson thing? All this news coming out today. What's your feeling about that? I mean, do you think that's a bit of a overreaction, or do you think they're just being cautious? What do you think? Because a lot of people are saying, if you're pregnant, you could. It's more I don't know. You're more susceptible to something than you at rates higher when you're pregnant than the rates that are being shown with the Johnson & Johnson, the blood clots issues.
Sure. Anytime I see something like that, like I got an email about it today when I was working and I was reading through it because we have to know these sorts of things. My company pulled it like from their distribution. So because of this, and it's six issues out of like 7 million doses. Like, do you guys realize how small of a percentage that is? It's like 0.00008 chance of that happening. Like, I don't think it's an overreaction because you definitely you have something that's going to be distributed to the mass in public. So you need to kind of get a handle on what's going on and maybe do a little more research.
Right.
But I think that most people are like the general public is overreacting to like, oh my God, it's going to kill us all. Like I told you, it's going to kill us all.
Right.
And it's really, birth control is way more like could give you blood clots way easier than this vaccine can.
Birth control,
it's crazy. Like COVID is like 16.5% possible to give you blood clots, so that's just how much more possible you get them from just having COVID as opposed to the vaccine. So you kind of outweigh your risk, and it's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like the same getting a flu shot. Like in the extreme 0.000001 cases. Yes, people have got like tardive dyskinesia or something crazy that's happened, and they have like the government has a fund for that. Like they realize that it's possible, and they have a fund that helps people like for the rest of their lives on that happens to. But it's I just need people to understand that it's such a insignificant. Well, any death is significant, but it's such a minute percentage that I think like everybody can chill a little and just be happy that they're going through this process to see what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's move on to the main topic here. We'll address the other stuff as it pops up in terms of COVID and what have you. But let's move on to WrestleMania here, bro. That's why we brought you on the show to talk about this exclusively. Pretty incredible to see that you went. I was very, very happy for you to go to Raymond James Stadium this past weekend, both nights, WrestleMania 37. Now, we experienced a 2-night WrestleMania last year from our homes, Aaron. None of the fans were allowed to go, but you actually got into a pod. You actually got to go, and you were there for both nights. Tell me, what was this experience building up for you? What was the overall experience like building up to going? Like, how deep is this within you to attend WrestleMania? Because you've been to a few of these. Was this one a little bit special, a little bit more special because of everything we'd gone through as a people over the last year?
Yeah, it really was. It's my second WrestleMania. I went to WrestleMania 33 in Orlando a few years ago, so about 4 years ago. I was supposed to go last year. Of course, COVID knocked that out, so they did it this year in Tampa. But, it's just, I explain it like this. It's different, like talking with your buddies and talking with your buddies about wrestling every week, and then going to an event and you're like within your tribe of people. And I'm not talking like, and I just miss talking to other people like about stuff that I love. Like, it's not like talking to the dude at the gas station, like small talk at the pump about baseball or something. Like, this is people that love the same thing that you love. And you finally get to like explode all that stuff you've had for a year. Just talk to people and like, oh my God, show me this, show me that. People wearing their different shirts. Like, hey, cool shirt. Hey, cool belt. Hey, what do you got over here? Who do you think's going to win tonight? What are you feeling? Right. And it was just cool to be congregating in that sense. And to be honest with you, like my friend who I went with, my buddy TJ and his brother Danny, my friends, I hadn't seen them in a year. Like, I haven't seen them since this started. So to see them to get for us to all be together was exciting in itself. Like TJ had a baby over the COVID time, like since the COVID, and I had met his baby. This is one of my best friends. So I finally got to meet his son, Logan, and I was super excited for that. So just hanging out with my friends and road tripping. And it's about, I think from his house, it was about a little bit over an hour to Tampa to Raymond James Stadium. So it wasn't like a super long road trip at all. Right. But we do our traditional thing. Like me and TJ like to listen to wrestling themes on the way to events. So we did that, like just to get kind of pumped up for it. We did that on the way to the Buccaneer Stadium, and it was pretty awesome. And his brother is just as a big a wrestling fan as us, so we're all just super excited to do it. And then once you get there, it's different. Like the weeks leading up to it, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to WrestleMania. That's exciting, but it feels like a little less than because there's only 25,000 and all that stuff.
Right.
But then you get to the stadium and you see it, and it's got these huge banners that are like, welcome to WrestleMania. And you see all the people in their shirts that you wear, like your John Cena shirts and your NWO shirts. And you're just like, man, I really miss this. Like people, you can feel the energy. Like people are super excited. Everybody's buying merchandise and kids got their faces painted like Finn Balor and everybody's just ready, man. Like it's just this big energy burst, and you felt like it was just gonna explode when you were there.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Did you sense that there was just something unusual about this energy at this event? Now, it's WrestleMania, what have you, but like there's something about them, maybe some of these people just like you getting together for the first time with a bunch of other like-minded people to experience something that they thought maybe they wouldn't be experiencing for a while, and to have it come back in a way. Did you sense there was this kind of wanting to relish every single second of the experience from people who were there? Did you catch people like looking around and just taking moments with their kids and what have you? Like what did you see or sense as you were walking through the stadium or walking through the area? Really? Yeah,
just absolutely, dude. It just felt like everybody. It's kind of like it felt like a big family reunion, to be honest with you. Like just seeing everybody like together. It's like, yes, man, we're here for the same thing. And like, I don't know about like you. Like, I've never been to a Super Bowl. I've never been to the World Series or anything like that. I've been to WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble, like those two big events. So, but to me, like the kind of we couldn't tailgate, but like the kind of congregating that we had to do. Everybody was kind of in their own cliques, but you totally. Like you kind of get in on people's conversations. Like people will talk about like, oh, I don't know about Bianca. Like, I feel like it's too fast. And someone just randomly chimes in, and then you have a conversation and you bring them in. And it's just a totally different feeling than any other sporting event that I've gone to. Like I've been to plenty of NFL games, NBA and stuff. And we're here, we go, we talk about it a little bit, we go home. Yeah. But just the wrestling stuff just feels like it's more in people's blood than it is. Like, it's just like you feel that this is something that people talk about every single day, and it's like part of their life force a little bit. So it is different in that sense.
Do you sense that it's the one area of our entertainment that's still kind of maligned by the mainstream? Like we've had all these nerds, all of a sudden nerds are now ruling the world, geeks, superhero stuff, D&D, all this shit now is like, mainstream and cool. You don't make fun of it anymore. Like now they're the ones making fun of other people. They're the ones being toxic online, being trolls online. But do you sense that pro wrestling fans still are looked down upon by even those that used to be looked down upon themselves, who've now achieved a certain level of pop culture status in our world? Do you sense still pro wrestling fans have to fight through that nonsense to get any level of respect? And maybe that's the reason they kind of hold on to each other a little bit tighter, and it's more in the blood than anything else.
I think you make a good point there. I think it is a lot like that. I think wrestling is tribal, and I mean that in like that's how I feel about it. Like I explain it this way. Like I went to Target once, and there was a dude there in line for the deli or something, and he was wearing like a New Day shirt, and I'm like, that guy is part of my tribe. Like we we get each other. Like he's wearing a New Day shirt. He likes what I like. Like we're the same. Like I don't know. Like if I go to the store, if somebody likes the Tennessee Titans, I don't know if they like them or not, unless they're wearing a jersey. I don't know. But this person is part of my tribe. Like, I feel like I could go up to that person and say, hey, man, cool shirt, New Day rocks. And they would just be like, right on. And it's just something like it's just an unspoken, like, kinship between the two. Like, you get it. We get it. It's a whole thing.
Right. All right. So you're walking through now. You said they couldn't tailgate like usual, but I saw videos of guys jumping off cars and elbow dropping dudes on tables. Did you see any of that madness before you walked into the stadium?
That was from a past WrestleMania. Don't get confused. Okay. Yeah, it was. It wasn't happening. No, once you parked in the Raymond James parking lot, it's just like you put your mask on and people were ushering you. Like, okay, now get moving. And then you have to go to the gates, or you had to go.
So there's no congregating outside. No
congregating outside whatsoever.
Immediately into the stadium. Okay.
Well, you had to move towards the stadium at least.
Right.
Like they had merchandise stands and stuff like that you could go to. They had a store that you could go to at some part of the day, but you couldn't just sit around and like throw up a grill and start cooking some hot dogs, talk about wrestling. They weren't going to let you do that. So
right.
Yeah, they kind of ushered everybody in. And then once that happened, you had to go you had the WrestleMania app, which had your tickets on it, and it had a pre-health screening that you had to take and show it to the person before they let you in. Then they would check your temperature. Then you go through the metal detector, and then you're in. And that's how it went. But I will say this. I mean, I'm sure people want to know about this, like the COVID protocols that were there. Because before you went, they said they would be handing out masks for everybody to have. You go through a health screening, you get temperature check, whatever. Then you go. Well, the first day we got there, it wasn't raining yet. It was still pretty nice outside. Yeah. We go through the gate. No one checked my health screening thing. I did get a temperature check. No mask. They didn't hand out masks. I mean, I had one, but they didn't hand out masks. I went through the metal detector, no problem. Like nobody stopped me. Like I didn't take anything out of my pocket. They're just like, go ahead. Okay. And then there I was. So that was odd to me for day one that happened. Yeah. Day two, that was different for sure. But yeah, day two, it changed a lot. They checked my thing. They gave me the screening. Still didn't give me a mask. Right. And then it was a little more stringent, even though it was piss poor in the rain. But
So do you sense that's a DeSantis thing? Like they made the deal, and I'm talking about the governor there, Ron DeSantis. Like they made the deal to have the event there in Florida in Raymond James Stadium, and they were encouraging you to wear the masks, but they weren't going to force you to wear the mask. Did you see a lot of people there without masks in the pods? I mean, I saw on during the show, the people down front, you saw some of them not wearing masks. Did you see that around the stadium as well?
At least where I was, I didn't see it too often. Like if somebody didn't have it on, they were drinking, they were eating, they were doing something. Right. With 25,000 people, it's a little different than it's a lot different than the WrestleMania I went to previously, which had 73,000 people. Right. And it's kind of hard to spread out in a stadium with 73,000. But with 25, it's a little different. And we were on the upper deck, and they just people were just in their own cliques. Like people were separated, eating and drinking, didn't have a mask. Now, what you're talking about in the arena shots, we felt the same way. Like me and my buddy TJ and his brother, we felt the same way. Like everybody they're showing on camera like doesn't have a mask, and we're just like, what in the world is going on? And that was another thing. They said there would be people there like they do at Dynamite, like that enforces the mask policy. Right. And there wasn't. There was like a guy that walked around with a sign that was like, if you have a drink, if you're not drinking or eating, put on a mask. That was it. Right. And like if you didn't wear it, nobody was stopping you. So I did see some people not doing it, but I can't defend that at all. Right. The thing was, though, we were so spread out. Like I was surprised at how spread out we were. There was nobody.
So they kept you guys spread out. There wasn't like, where the guys kind of congregated, because they tried that in college football, and like everybody's kind of migrated down to the front. And we're all around each other, essentially spreading that shit around. But here in this event, they kept you guys where you were and kept it pretty spacious between groups.
Yeah, there wasn't anybody. I was sitting at the end of the row, so it was three of us in a pod. So there was nobody 2 rows down and 2 rows behind me. Wow! So I had plenty of room to eat, drink, whatever, and I felt pretty comfortable with that. But yeah, as I tweeted about it, I said they're really playing fast and loose with the mask policy, because it seems like as soon as people went through the gate, it was just like whoop, like let's just rip that off. Let's just deal with it. And I'm not ready to risk it all, dude. I'm not ready to risk it. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, I understand you completely. Well, it started raining on the first night, right? So someone's asking, what was the rain delay like? Did you sense that like this might not happen after all this buildup, after all the hype and some of the criticism that the WWE took in trying to make this happen, trying to bring people back in, 25,000 people a night? Did you sense now that God was like, I'm going to show you what the hell is up, or nature, and this downpour came through? Did you sense that maybe it might not happen, or did were you guys immediately told, oh, no, this is going to happen, so stick around?
Well, something crazy that happened. So we went to because TJ had pre-ordered some merchandise. So we went to the pre-order pickup to go get it, and it was fine, totally fine outside. And the second we turned the corner from that merch stand, it was black. The sky was completely black, and the wind started picking up, and there are these giant banners that are the whole, like, the height of the stadium tall. So they had this giant banner of Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And as we're walking, the wind's picking up, and you see that banner just go click, 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 and it starts like coming off the building. We're like, oh my God. So we just kept walking. I was like, wow, that was crazy. So as we're walking around the other corner, there's an Asuka and Rhea Ripley banner, and it starts doing the same thing, like pop, 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 pop. But this one blows off the building, like into the road. And I was like, okay, like there's some wind going on here. But then we went in the gates and went upstairs, and luckily where we were, pretty much where the seats are, if you're in the concourse area, it covers pretty much everything.
Okay.
So when it was, torrential raining, we didn't get wet at all.
Oh,
and we just kind of,
you were able to chill out in your seats. You didn't have to get moved to someplace else.
Well, we went to go get in our seats, and they were like, there's a weather delay. It was like, whoa, okay. So we went down, and then we got some ponchos. A friend of a friend came by and gave us some ponchos, which was nice. Shout out to Dom for the poncho. And then finally, about 8 o'clock, like, we're checking Twitter and stuff, and my friend John Alba, that works for the local news, tweeted out that they said, rain or shine, no matter what, if we have to be here till midnight, it's happening. Like, it'll start at midnight. It does not matter.
Wow.
Like, okay. So we go back up to our seats at 8 o'clock. They do this great intro. Vince McMahon comes out with all the superstars on the ramp, and that got everybody excited, because it was like seeing, like, your family, like, oh my God, everybody's here. And they were happy to see us, and everybody was super excited. And they do the video intro, and it's like, all right, here we go. Here come the fireworks. And they're like, and everybody get out of the stadium because there's a lightning delay. It's like, Jesus, come on, man. So then we all went downstairs, and we ended up, like, getting something to eat, just kind of hanging out. And then we went back up to our seats, and it rained a little bit during the first match, and maybe a little bit into the second, but it wasn't anything like you couldn't handle. It's Florida. You kind of get used to it.
Right.
So that part wasn't bad at all. The second night was pretty crazy with rain, but that first night was not too bad at all.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So what was it like? So, okay. So the matches start off, and we're right off the bat. It's Bobby Lashley, the champion, versus Drew McIntyre. This is unheard of at a WrestleMania, man. That is the main belt. The world championship that Reigns fights for, that's not usually seen as the main belt. That used to be the old NWA belt, the old WCW belt. This belt was the first belt that was fought, the first match of the 2-night event. Usually closes any WrestleMania. The WWE Singles Championship, I know they call it the Universal Championship, whatever, but, like, what was your reaction when that was the first match?
I was really excited because I really wanted to see that match, and I knew that Drew McIntyre was going to come out, like, excited and pumped up. So I knew that Drew was kind of the right guy to start it off, have that first entrance, and he deserved it, from the run from he had last year with the WWE Championship. So I was totally fine with him doing it. And to be honest with you, I didn't expect the match to be as good as it was.
Right.
It was really quite good. And it got the crowd really hyped and really into it, especially the finish. Because I think a lot of people thought that Drew McIntyre was going to win and, get that WrestleMania moment. But when Lashley essentially tapped him out or choked him out, people were kind of stunned and excited because they didn't expect that to happen. So it was a good way to start off night one. It got people really talking. Yeah.
And it was a surprising result for sure. And now Bobby Lashley kind of moves into almost, you anticipate a extended run as the champion now that he's, kind of fought off Drew McIntyre. And I think acquitted himself really well. I agree with you, man. I think they sensed they had to maybe start this way. Everyone's coming back. They have that moment with Vince out there with all the wrestlers, which kind of was very reminiscent. We've seen them do this before for when a big wrestler dies or someone involved with the WWE that is a big name dies. But I can't recall it feeling like this since maybe 9/11. It kind of felt that way. Did you sense that as you were watching it? A little bit of the 9/11 vibes too? Remember when they all came out with The Rock and stuff after what happened? Did you sense that there was some kind of connection to that moment as well?
It definitely felt very significant. I was wondering how it was playing on TV because where I was sitting, it was super loud. And I just I didn't think that I was sitting there wondering as I'm like walking across like the stadium, like, I don't know, man, like it looks so sparse. Like, I don't know how it's going to sound.
Right.
And then when they started, like Greg Hamilton, who's the announcer for the WWE, came out and started saying like, welcome to WrestleMania. Like people got really jacked up and you could hear it. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be super loud. Just like we don't need the piped in crowd noise now. It's going to be super loud. Right. And then when Vince came out, people got super excited. That's when people were getting really hyped. When Vince came out, did the whole Welcome to WrestleMania thing. Right. So it was a concern that it wasn't going to be loud enough. And it did have that feeling once it got rolling that like, okay, this is something really special. Because it felt like every WWE superstar was just so happy that people were there and they weren't, performing in front of video screens. It really felt like they genuinely, I know that they do, but it felt like they genuinely care that you're there and you care about them as people right back. Like they missed us so much.
Right. Well, no one gets into wrestling to wrestle in front of TV screens. They get into wrestling to wrestle in front of people. They're entertainers first and foremost, and athletes a close second for sure. So then we move on to the tag team match. The ladies, the tag team turmoil match. We have Mandy slip and fall a little bit and get back up like a pro and keep going. What did you think? Were you worried as you were watching the Bobby Lashley McIntyre match that there might be some issues with these guys hurting each other on the ring ropes? And then when you saw Mandy fall, did that make you even more worried that these ladies might hurt each other in the slippery conditions?
Well, I was definitely worried when Mandy fell. I mean, I think it's well documented that I jumped up from my seat to try to go help her, but she'd already got back up. But it's just, I think it was bound to happen to somebody, and she just happened to be the one it was going to happen to. Like I can remember there was in high school, there was a really rainy event and we were walking across this track and it was really slippery and somebody was going to eat it. It's just going to happen. And I happened to be the person that ate it. So I know all about it. So I know about that part, but I think there were so many people, like, how like you go to a baseball game and there's a rain delay and they pull out the tarps and then everybody starts like sweeping the rain off. Like there were so many people doing that. Yeah, that I think she just got caught in a bad spot or something. Like she needed to spray some hairspray on the bottom of her boots to stick it or something. But it was bound to happen to somebody. Right. It just happened to be her.
Right on. And then we move on, and we saw what happened. Anything stood out for you from that match, or just let's move on to Cesaro and Seth Rollins?
Yeah, nothing crazy. The Riot Squad, I think, actually looked like a tag team during that match. I thought they acquitted themselves very well, and I was really surprised that they didn't get the victory. I really hated that.
Yeah. Well, Natalya, the lifer that she is, they gave her another shot to go for a belt the next night with her and Tamina for sure. But then Cesaro, Seth Rollins, this was a hell of a thing. Cesaro, he looked skinnier than I'd ever seen him before. Aaron, I don't know if you felt that way too. We've seen kind of a change in his body. It's noticeable. It's not overwhelmingly noticeable, but it's certainly noticeable. And Seth Rollins looked like the bigger physical specimen between the two. Kind of shocked by that. What did you think as you were watching it?
Well, I knew the contest that we were going to get into. I knew it was going to be athletic. I knew there's going to be a lot of reversals, a lot of good wrestling going on. And that's exactly what we got. We got everything we wanted. The Cesaro swing. We got Seth Rollins doing some crazy spots. We got Cesaro doing the uppercuts. And then eventually, Cesaro's arm got tired of doing the swing. So I'll do an airplane spin. And then I won't hold him and I'll just spin him on my shoulders, which was even better. Right. So Cesaro knew what he had to do to get the crowd hyped, and everybody was there for it. Everybody was ready. Yeah. And, Seth Rollins came down the ramp. I don't know if they showed this on TV because I didn't watch it back. But as Seth Rollins was coming down the ramp, he just kind of looked and took a second to both sides and just like patted his chest, like patted his heart. that everybody was cheering for him because, Seth Rollins is a bad guy, but people were still cheering for him because everybody wanted that feeling. And what's funny is we talked about this a lot. Like people at WrestleMania, like everybody's going to be cheered because fans are back. Fans wanted to do what fans do, and I think that was the best part of it. So when Nia Jax, we talk about, we'll just let's throw this in here real quick. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but like Nia Jax comes out, she gets booed, just horrendously booed, and that's what we do, and that's what we wanted. Like, yes, we're glad that we're back in front of wrestlers, but if you're a bad guy, we're going to boo you. It's just how it goes, and you should just be happy that we're booing you.
Yeah, agreed. But that was a hell of a match, and certainly Cesaro getting the victory was fantastic. Strowman and Shane, did this come off a little bit? Now, what was this reaction like? I mean, you add water to steel. You add this a match that a lot of people weren't that excited to see, but was the spot as incredible in person as it was watching it on TV, watching him essentially get flipped from the top of the cage onto his back, onto the mat? That was the spot of the night. What did you think?
This is a match I definitely didn't care about, and when I was watching it, I loved every second of it. Like just the way that they told the story, I was like, how in the world are they going to make this enjoyable? And they did it. The second that Braun Strowman ripped the cage apart, that got people pumped up. Like people were cheering that he did that. Like that was super exciting. And then of course, when he threw Shane off the top of the cage, that's the icing on the cake, man. Like you can't beat that. And it was just, it delivered in so many ways that it absolutely should not have. Like this match should have never been as good as it was. And it just worked in front of the live crowd. This one I did watch back to see like how people were reacting. And it's pretty much how it went in the stadium. Like people were excited. People cheered for the big spots. People were cheering Braun Strowman and booing Shane. So I thought it was really fun.
What did they do in between the matches to keep you guys hyped up? Was it pretty much the standard stuff that you see, like, video clips and then the announcer coming out going, just a reminder, please wear your mask? Or was there something more? Did they feel that they needed to connect to the crowds in between the matches even more than usual?
Well, they definitely didn't remind us to put masks on, that's for sure. But
that's terrible. That's fucking terrible.
It's true. Right. It's 100% true.
So
I think what basically we see what you see. So when the matches in between, like they put the commercials on the video screens of like WWE Shop and here this will crack you up. This is good. So at one point they showed a commercial for Peacock, horrifically booed.
Wow!
Just the second that Peacock came on, people just booed it.
Yeah.
The whole stadium booed Peacock in the advertisement. So I figured you'd like that part. But yeah, I think that they show the same commercials, the same hype packages that you guys see at home, that we see that in the stadium.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. I thought maybe they do something extra, whatever, but it sounds like they were just going.
No, they don't shoot like hot dogs in the crowd or anything like that. They don't,
something like that.
They don't shoot hand sanitizer at you. They don't do that.
Bring out Hogan for special, I guess not.
Really the only time that we saw Hogan and Titus was the same 2 times that everybody else saw them. Like they weren't out in between matches doing anything.
Let's talk about that. We'll get to the 2 big moments, of course, with Bag Bunny and Bianca Belair and Sasha, but let's talk about the Hogan situation. Both nights, brother. Boos galore. I was incredibly shocked. WWE tried to hide it by turning, I think, the audio up on the cheers. What did you think as you were watching this thing, man? Were you surprised by the boos? Did you anticipate the boos? This is Florida. This is what you imagine would be Hulk Hogan country. And certainly what he said maybe wouldn't be so negatively received by a certain section of Florida. So were you surprised by this reaction, the boos, the overwhelming boos for Hogan? Because they were cheering Titus all up and down that stadium. But Hogan, every time he touched the mic, got a good amount of boos.
I was surprised. Yeah. Because the amount of people that I saw walking around with like Hogan gear on, like Hogan shirts, and they were selling Hogan shirts there. And just different, like they had like a WrestleMania Hulk Hogan shirt, but the amount of people that were there, and he's from Tampa.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa, like I did not expect that. And I mean, Titus is too. And it just, like you said, it was kind of like a dueling chant. Like every time Titus would say something, he would get, cheered like a hero. And then every time Hogan would do it, he would get absolutely booed. Yeah. And it really surprised me. You could definitely hear it reverberating through the stadium. It wasn't just one section of people. It was a lot. a significant amount of people were throwing the boos. So yeah, it definitely did surprise me.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd ever do anything that would push people away at such high levels, because certainly he's done some stuff. And look, there are other wrestlers, the guy I'm wearing, who's got some stuff in his past that ain't necessarily all that positive, but the WWE universe seems to overlook that and support certain people and boo others. So it's an interesting situation. I wonder where the turn on Hogan came. Obviously, you have the comments that he made that were inappropriate, but just surprising that that's still carrying over for a number of fans. So just maybe people have always not liked him, and now they have their excuse to find other people who can boo him as well. Chris Taylor said, how was the live fan reception for Orton versus Bray Wyatt? That's from night 2 to open night 2. We can kind of jump ahead real quick and we'll circle back to Bad Bunny and Bianca Belair and Sasha. What was the reaction, man? I mean, it's a twist I predicted on our show, but what did you think overall, though, about what they did? Were you excited that it started night 2? And then B, did you feel like it was a bit of a wet fart by the time it was over?
We found out a little bit before that it was going to open night 1, and people were excited, and because that's you want to start off night 2 hot. And when Randy Orton came out, you can see it. I watched this back on Peacock. You can see like the crowd is so excited to see Randy Orton. Yeah, and he feels it and all that stuff. But for the record, it took Randy Orton forever to walk down that ramp. I was like, dude, get going. But anyway. Yeah. And then when the Fiend came out on the screen and was like, he was burnt Fiend and then he changed back to the regular Fiend, people were like, thank God. And everybody got excited. And then Alexa came out, people were excited. And then they wheeled that big ass box down to the ring and people were excited. And the match got going and people were excited. Like, this is great. And it was going exactly how I thought it would go. It's like, all right, well, the Fiend is not going to no-sell everything and he's going to kick Randy Orton's ass. Right. And then we're just going to get out of here and it's going to be fine. And then when he goes for the Sister Abigail and then he stops and he goes and looks at Alexa, turns around, eats an RKO, and it's over. Brother, the crowd was really, really pissed. Wow. They kind of try to hide it. Yeah. They kind of try to hide the boos, but the boos were long and loud. People were really pissed about Bray Wyatt losing so quickly to one RKO when he had no-sold everything. Yeah. And he had just come back. And, dude, people were really – it really set the tone for night 2. I mean, as we'll talk about it here in a little bit. But it really was a wet fart. You're right about that. Like, people were pissed off that happened.
I said this to you weeks ago in one of our conversations about this angle, that don't be surprised if, Alexa never needed Bray. Bray needed Alexa more. And I might have said it off. Like, I felt like Alexa would eventually overtake the angle, and it looks like that's the path they've walked down, judging from what happened on Raw last night. So this is an interesting twist and turn, but it pushes Bray further down yet again for whatever reason. They just come up with these creative decisions to bury him and bury him and bury him, or stop his momentum. Because I don't know, is there a personal thing? Because they let him create this thing and then they've just kind of taken it away from him when he could be the one with the belt over his shoulder and leading the WWE right now.
I think what we saw, if you watched a little bit of Monday Night Raw when Alexa was kind of explaining herself, it seemed like what they did was like a power reversal. Like, okay, well, Alexa's not the damsel in distress. Like, she's the powerful one. And it's like, oh, okay, I see what you did there. But this was a feud that was like 8 months long, and you just basically buried the Fiend. Like, you could have done it the next night on Raw. She could have done this. Like, it didn't have to be at WrestleMania. It just was so bizarre. And it was a great visual. Like, people were like, "Oh my God!"
Did you see her? Down her face. Did you see her go into the box? Did you get distracted by the match and not catch where she went?
I did not catch that she went into the box. I did not see her go into the box. So that was surprising when it came out. When she did that. So, but just the way that they did it, it just, man, it was really bad. It just did not work. I was really hot about it for a long time.
She could have turned the narrative and still helped him win the match and been the person who absolutely controls him. That would have been possible as well. Daniel Rodriguez, thank you very much for the super sticker, Daniel. Appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep sending in your Streamlabs super chats as we talk about WrestleMania. That's what we're here to talk about, and the experience that Aaron had while he was there. And we'll probably get into a little bit of sports news as well as the show goes along. Justin Toner says, hi, guys. Overall, was very happy with WrestleMania. Pumped. Bianca and Rhea won the titles. What were your favorite matches from both nights? Yeah, Aaron, do you have favorite match from both nights, or what was your favorite matches, I guess, from both of these nights?
Well, my favorite match from night one, I mean, if we're talking straight up wrestling, I would say Sasha and Bianca. But if we're talking about straight up entertainment, brother, Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus The Miz and John Morrison might have been my favorite match of the entire friggin' thing. Let's
get into it. That's next on our rundown anyway. So let's talk about that. What was the experience of seeing Bad Bunny? Did you expect much from him? Were you surprised at how it popped off and how well he did?
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I did not expect anything like that from Bad Bunny. And I got to tell you, like we talked about this on our show, like I just started like recently listening to Bad Bunny music. Like I dig it. Like I dig his music. Like the guy is awesome. And then he comes out, he does this. He has this thing with semi trucks. I don't know what that is. Like that's a thing that he does. I don't know. But of course, you're in Florida. It's a big Latino population. Yeah. There's a big Latino population there, so people were pumped to see Bad Bunny. He got a great reaction from the crowd. Yeah. And when he came out and did his thing, I was just absolutely blown away by what this guy could do. Like not just the punching, but like the head scissor and just the way that he sold things. And you know, if you want to give somebody some credit for this match, of course you got to credit Bad Bunny for the work that he put in. But you absolutely have to put The Miz and John Morrison in a different stratosphere of thanking them. They absolutely did everything they could to make this entertaining, and this was incredible. Like it should not have been this good. Yeah, and the way that The Miz sold things and the way that John Morrison took bumps, he took the Bunny Destroyer on the outside, which was great. Like the crowd was so hot for that. And then the best part about that was when he did it, the look on the Miz's face was priceless. Like he couldn't believe it. And then they shot over to Damian Priest's partner. He couldn't believe it either. Like he was just sitting there shocked, like, oh my God. Right. And people were super excited for it, dude. Like just the way that they did this whole match was picture perfect. Yeah. Like I said, should not have been that good. Low key, the best match of the entire show.
Wow. What impressed you the most about what he was able to do in the limited amount of time he had to train, to get ready, to to come to a huge event like WrestleMania? Nerves obviously have to be there. Definitely. No matter how famous you become. If you become famous overnight, there's so much that overwhelms you, but he seemed to be ready for the task. You sensed a bit of like almost comfortability in what he was doing.
The hardest thing in wrestling to do as a wrestler to me is timing.
Yes.
And just the fact that you have to time things to make them look good. Yep. Like case in point, Sheamus and Matt Riddle. We'll talk about that later. But just the timing of things have to be so precise. You have to hit your marks. It's like a movie set. Yeah. You have to hit your marks. And Bad Bunny did that. Pardon me. My voice is a little crazy from the past weekend.
That's all right.
But just the way that he hit his marks, he was everywhere that he needed to be and did everything that he was supposed to do flawlessly. And he really acted like a veteran wrestler in there. And even Randy Orton, as great as he has commented on and said, I consider Bad Bunny a WWE superstar at this point.
Wow.
Just how good that he was. Like there is not a negative review about his performance. And if there is, you're fucking wrong. I'll tell you that right now. You're way wrong.
Oh, here's a good thing. Daniel Rodriguez says, I'm trying to go to WrestleMania 39 in LA. Did you know about the Texas announcement, or was that being saved during WrestleMania when it was dropped by Stone Cold saying WrestleMania was coming to Texas next year? I didn't watch Stone Cold Week, so I didn't know if he had announced it during Stone Cold Week or was it announced at WrestleMania?
It was announced before. We knew about it before. It was originally supposed to be, before COVID, it was going to be Tampa last year. Then it was supposed to be Hollywood this year, then Dallas, then, whatever. But they had to, kind of move stuff around. And with California being, locked down here, locked down there, they thought it was too risky to run California next year. So they're going to run Texas. Mm-hmm. They're going to go and do Dallas, and then they'll jump to Hollywood for 39. So
right.
Yeah, we knew about it before time.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the big match. And shout out to Bad Bunny. Maybe we'll see more. Who knows? He's about to start a massive tour. What great synergy having them play his tour commercial and all the different dates he's lining up there for the tour for sure. So, it's not his last time in an arena with a bunch of people this year. But you look at this situation now, we move on to Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. This apparently just tore down the house. You could tell, everyone, this is something that's new over the last, what would you say, 15, 20 years in wrestling, and really the last 10, Aaron, where like people break character to grasp the moment, and this was one of those things. Sasha and Bianca coming out, incredible introductions, great stuff walking out of the ring. But then when they got in the ring, they had that moment of understanding we are two black women headlining night one of WrestleMania. And the moment was just incredible. And I was a little like, because the old school part of me was like, don't show that.
Don't cry.
Don't show that. Don't cry. Don't give in to the moment before the moment actually happens. But I couldn't. But another part of me was like incredibly happy for both of them that this is the way it worked out. I saw some people push back on it going, should have been Bobby. And I'm like, nah, man, Bobby hasn't earned it yet. And neither had Drew. These two ladies in different ways had earned this spot. And us being post Black Lives Matter movements, post Me Too movements, this was a great way for the WWE to be smart enough to kind of say, look, whatever's happening, whatever our political beliefs, we're doing this. And I thought it was a surprisingly progressive, although you would argue it's been a long time coming, but still a progressive move by the WWE when they didn't have to do this. They could have totally ended with Lashley and McIntyre. And yeah, people would have been like, oh, I wish this didn't happen. But overall, they made a very strong decision to do this, to make this be the match to end the night. What did you think as you were watching this all happening, as you're watching them reacting to each other in the ring before the match even started? What was your feelings overall?
Well, first of all, I have to say this. A small contingent of fans decided that it would be a good time to leave.
Wow.
And they got booed, and people told them to sit the F down.
Wow.
And watch the match. So
people
that
left
happened
during the Sasha Bianca match.
Because let's beat the traffic. But exactly. Yeah. Because my people did not leave. Let's just put it that way. We did not leave. But anyway,
right.
It just what do they say? They over delivered.
Oh,
the
under promise and over deliver.
Under promise, over deliver. That's exactly what it had. It's like, okay, this is
or it delivered on the promise of the match, maybe possibly. I don't know,
brother. It was fire from the get go. I knew it would be an athletic contest. I knew it would be good. Yeah. I did not know it would be this good. And the way that different things happen, like when Bianca Belair, when Sasha did that splash to the outside, Bianca caught her. And then gorilla pressed her over her head. It's like, okay, that's pretty impressive. And then walked up the steps with her still over her head. Wow. That's pretty daggone impressive for anybody. Yeah. And then just throw her in the ring. That was awesome. And just Sasha being the absolute daredevil that she is, just taking every bump and then giving the knees and the frog splash a la Eddie Guerrero and just everything that she did. Calling her a rookie and smacking her in the face, stomping on her hands, just everything that Sasha did was pitch perfect. Everything that Bianca did was pitch perfect. But you have to give most of this. I would give it to Sasha, the way that she led Bianca through it and gave her everything. And me and my friends were talking about the finish when Sasha had used her hair that braid against Bianca the entire match.
Yeah.
Just like throwing her into the post and like trying to tap her out with it. And then when they were doing that tug of war and Sasha was like, oh my God, I'm not going to win this tug of war. Like just the look on her face was perfect. Like, oh God. My buddies and I were talking, like when she hit that hair whip, brother, we're in the cheap seats. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're in the cheap seats. You heard that like it was right next to you.
Yeah.
That hair whip. And I'm telling you, like, Sasha told her to lay it in. Like she said, you better hit me with that whip and it better crack. And did it ever.
Yeah.
And just that was such a perfect crescendo to the match, and just everything else was perfect. You saw the giant welt on Sasha's ribs afterwards. Just, dude, she got whacked with that thing. It was the perfect ending, the perfect way to go. One thing that did surprise me was at the end, I don't think they showed it on TV, but like Montez Ford came out and her husband, Bianca's husband, and like held her on his shoulders and was carrying her around the ring. And it was a really awesome moment for their whole family. And I don't think it aired that way. Yeah, I think it just showed her holding the belt and that was it. But he came out and it was like a big family thing. It was awesome. And it was really cool to see. And Bianca's dad, like if you saw the reaction of the person like jumping over the barricade, that was so great. Like so great. And
I was so nervous he was going to fall over. They were going to kick him out of the stadium.
That's what I thought too. I was like, oh God, who is that guy? But just the way that it ended, everybody was excited. It was the ending that I think everybody wanted. Yeah. And you know, if you saw those videos that they were posting of Sasha after the match, sitting in the corner, like kind of smiling and just taking the moment in, like she was so happy. Everybody knew how important that match was. And it, like I said, over delivered in every way.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It was, I was worried that we would convince ourselves that it was a good match. Like the Ronda Rousey, Becky and Charlotte match, which really kind of under-delivered and over-promised. This one, I think, absolutely went beyond the pale. I would put it in the same conversation, and maybe you could debate it with Sasha and Bayley from NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. That match, which is still one of the greatest matches ever, in my opinion. The stakes, the moment, the pressure, and the and the fact that people were already like folding their arms about it, wondering if it was going to really live up to the hype. And man, did it ever. And I didn't see a missed spot. I didn't see a moment that didn't work. I thought they told an incredible story in the ring with their emotions and then with their wrestling as well. And there was video of Sasha laying against the outside the ring, laying against those mats they have there, and her looking up at Bianca, and she couldn't stop herself from smiling. And it's so incredible because, yes, this is a great moment for Bianca, but also let's not forget Sasha Banks' journey over the last few years, you know, and having fighting so hard to get those tag team titles made, to get to winning them, and then to having her be scripted to lose them, the depression she went into afterwards, climbing all the way back, being accepted by the fans again, winning the belt, holding the belt during the pandemic. Her and Bayley, you could argue, carried the WWE during the pandemic, and then being willing and being open and proud to lose the belt to another female black wrestler and have her take the ball and run with it for a little bit. There's a certain level of respect that you have to have for Sasha, who has now really proved herself to be a full-on lifer. If anyone has an issue with Sasha Banks, they really need to look at themselves and not her, because she has proven herself a million times over with how much she loves this business.
I mean, let's look at it this way. Like, the first ever women's main event match in NXT was Sasha Banks versus Bayley, the second one. Not the first one, it was the second one.
Right, the Iron Man.
The first ever female Hell in a Cell was Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair. The first Raw Women's Championship match was at WrestleMania, which involved Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky. Right. And now we have the first singles female match, headlining a WrestleMania. What's the common denominator? It's all Sasha Banks.
Right.
And if you didn't respect what Sasha Banks can do, if you're like one of those people that have to just, I don't know, man, I think she takes too much risk. She's just reckless. And brother, she's the real deal.
Yeah.
Someone said that she's the Ric Flair of WrestleMania for women. Wow. And I'm telling you, it's high praise, and you may not be wrong. Just if you're, and I think they meant it in this way. Every time Ric Flair went out and had a match with somebody, it was the best match of the night. Not because the heel won, like Ric Flair won or lost. It's because Ric Flair went out there and just busted his ass every time and gave you everything. And Sasha does that every single time. She's 0-6 at WrestleMania, which is like, wow, that's kind of weird. But I guarantee you won't find a bad match in there.
Yeah.
You won't find one.
And sometimes you remember her more than the winner on a couple of those matches. And that's got to say volumes about what she's able to do. And certainly this is one that will live on. And I wonder how long because does this now move Sasha to the back a little bit and Bayley now jumps in with all the stuff that she was doing? The ding dong, by the way, I loved it all. I know you wanted her to have a match, but
I did.
The ding dong hello shit was killing it on TV. It was great to watch her kind of go back and forth with everybody. And everyone, and some of these guys can't think on their feet. Some of these guys can't improv as well as Bayley can. And she made it work. And I was just so impressed with what she was able to do. So do you think now this is the move to move her into possibly going toe-to-toe with Bianca?
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to get. I think when she mentioned it and she was like, Sasha Banks in night 2, when she mentioned it, she said, Sasha and Bianca, that's old news. Like I was like, oh, Bayley's going to feud with one of them. It's going to be great. I think what we're going to see from Sasha is, Mandalorian stuff, brother. She's going to be doing some Mandalorian stuff. Her action figures coming out. I think she's going to be on the Lucasfilm tour pretty soon. So
yeah,
Mercedes, she's going to go into Mercedes mode, and she's going to probably be gone for a little bit. And when she comes back, we'll be glad to have that match again. Maybe at SummerSlam, we'll get that rematch, Sasha and Bianca, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah, maybe it's Ahsoka Tano, maybe the Ahsoka Tano series, or maybe Rangers of the New Republic. A lot of different ways she can go for sure as part of the Mandalorian crew there with Katie Sackhoff. So good points. And maybe she's the next one to kind of step forward and start to become this actress. Like I just saw the new trailer this today for the Day of the Dead. That's or Dawn. Is it Day of the Dead that's happening?
Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead that's happening with Dave Bautista as the lead. And it was an incredible trailer. And I'm like, yeah, that's so crazy how Dave has moved from the WWE into becoming, I'm almost forgetting that he was ever a professional wrestler. That's how much he is making this transition work for me in my mind as I watch him. Now, when I watch him in a movie, I'm excited because he's such a damn good actor and damn good action guy to watch his stuff. That's incredible. And I wonder if the day comes where we start to kind of slowly forget a little bit that Sasha was in pro wrestling. Although I would argue Sasha was leaving more of an impact than Batista did. So maybe we will never forget it. But still, it's possible. Let's hit some super chats here as we finish up night 1. We're going to jump into night 2 in just a second. Xavier Black Wiley, thank you so much for the very kind donation, Xavier. As a proud black man WWE fan, Sasha and Bianca was the only match I was into, but the emotional beginning of the match watered down the hype. And yes, I know there are 2 black women headlining WrestleMania, but The Rock and Booker T was not crying before the 03 SummerSlam. I love it. Yeah, that's fair, I guess, to feel that way. Like I said, a piece of the old school me was like, no, don't show the emotion before the match. But who are we to tell women and then black women what this moment means to them in that moment? Do you know what I'm saying? And I think we need to create a little more understanding and space to be okay with that. And in the end, I was. So yeah, what did you feel? What do you feel about what Xavier's bringing up? And I respect your point of view, Xavier. Absolutely.
I felt the same way you did initially. I was like, don't cry. Like it just, you're supposed to hate her. Like don't cry. But then I kind of took it in for a second and watching it back on TV. I'm like, the moment was bigger. Yeah. Than just like a rivalry. Like it's just something completely different. And maybe Xavier, you didn't feel that way. I totally get it. But it's just for me, that's how I felt. Like in this case, the moment overtook wrestling for just a second. It got outside of it for a minute. Yeah. Agreed. But and I hear your point about Rock and Booker T, but that's 2 different things, man. That's just 2 different things. Because I mean, The Rock was never. I don't know. The Rock never kind of made that a thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And Booker really never made that a thing. It was there, but with Sasha and Bianca, that had been kind of built up for quite some time. This idea of these 2 black women vying for the belt for a championship title. That was a little more
hyped up. And you could argue there had been black men in professional wrestling for a number of years. How many black women had been, you probably count in your hand or two hands at the most, how many black women had any kind of shot at becoming a champion for sure. There was a number of them, but there ain't that many. Whereas with Booker T and The Rock, I think there are quite a few more. So, all right, let's see. Chris Taylor says, Turner, moving forward, should WrestleMania be 2 nights? Look at this guy acting all familiar with you, calling you Turner.
Chris and I are familiar. It's fine.
Okay.
I keep going over this in my head, and I honestly don't have a good answer.
Okay.
Like, as a fan, like going, I think 2 nights is easier on you because going to WrestleMania 33, which I'll compare it to, is we got there at 5:00.
Yep.
We got there earlier than that, but it started at 5:00 and it wasn't over until after midnight. So that's a long time. And then you got to go home. You're exhausted. You've been sitting in the sun all day. But for this, it was like, 3.5 hours and you go home. And 3.5 hours and you go home. It's kind of easy. And it's probably a lot easier on the viewer too. I don't know how it was for you guys, but I assume that it's a lot easier to view as a 2-day experience than it is to 1 7-8 hour extravaganza where you have to keep your attention for that long.
Right.
I don't know how that's going to work out going forward, especially if they do NXT takeovers on the Saturday, if they want to continue to do that, or maybe they keep it the way they have. I don't know. Yeah. Either way is honestly fine with me. I know that's not the answer that you want to the question, but either way is fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea of spread it over 2 nights. I also think business wise, it's smart because people, the hashtag WrestleMania is on people's Twitter streams for 2 days. That's branding. That's keeping people talking about. Yes, do some people get irritated? Like one of my co-hosts on the Game Time, JT, he was going nuts watching the hashtag WrestleManias on his Twitter that weekend. But this is a guy who tweeted about the Patriots every 5 minutes. So like it's all about perspective. And I feel like, I think business-wise, this is smart of them. Plus, it allows them to really kind of deliver 2 separate nights of entertainment. The one drawback, and we'll get into it a little bit, is you compare the nights now. Whereas as opposed to comparing the whole event, you compare the nights now. A lot of people feel, and I think about 95% of the people feel night 1 was better than night 2. And that's the risk you run when you're splitting it up over 2 nights. So I think it's very smart to do it. There's so many wrestlers now that you want to have extended matches. You want to have more time with these people. The WWE has signed so much talent. And look, you've got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 205 Live, NXT UK. There's so much that you can watch in the WWE. There's so much talent in the WWE that you've got to create space for them to appear and have an opportunity to showcase what they can do on the biggest showcase, as they've called WrestleMania, the showcase of the Immortals. Daniel Rodriguez comes in and says, WrestleMania 39 LA 2023, Reigns versus The Rock, return of CM Punk. Oh my God.
We'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. That's a long way off. I don't think it's a smart move for The Rock to come back and wrestle Roman Reigns. I get it, of course. The head of the table. He's really made himself, and we'll get to night 2 in just a second, but like, it's an incredible thing that he's done. But in my opinion, The Rock hurt himself fighting John Cena. So, and that was when he was younger, a few years younger. So bringing him back, I worry what kind of match you'd get, first of all. And second of all, if there might be some damage done to him that could be permanent. And it would suck to have it come from a family member, a match with a family member. So I just don't, I get the hype. I just don't see the logic on The Rock's end, especially when he's out here talking about being the president. I just don't see the logic in it myself. I mean, Trump became president. He was on WWE programming. I just don't see the logic of it.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he is. Ugh.
There's
what do you think? Do you want to see it? Do you want to see a Rock versus Reigns?
Absolutely. I think that if that's something that's going to be on your WrestleMania, that's something that's going to put people's asses in seats. That's going to make people want to travel to see it, and I would be there.
All right. All right, well, let's bring in a couple of people live who are waiting to talk with us, Aaron. Then we'll get into night 2 in just a second here. And I'll bring in my producer after these 2 people, and I'll let people know how they can come in live if they want to ask us questions as we talk about night 2. And please remember to keep sending in your Streamlabs Super Chats. Send some support in for the Outlaw Nation show, ladies and gentlemen. Please to show people how much you appreciate us talking about all the things we talk about every week on the show. Different guests coming on to talk about the things they love. Tonight, we're talking to Aaron Turner about his experience attending WrestleMania. We spoke about what it's like to the COVID situation in Florida earlier tonight, but we're focusing on WrestleMania 37 right now. So send in your questions, your Streamlabs Super Chats. The address is in the chat. It's pinned in the chat. It's also right above Aaron's head, and it's in the description of this video. All right, let's bring in Justin Toner. What's up, Justin? How are you, bud?
Hey, guys. Doing good.
What's up, dude?
Good to see you, Aaron.
Good to see you too, man.
What's going on?
Oh, good. This was checking up on NXT since it's on Tuesday nights.
Don't spoil anything.
Oh, of course not. But yeah, no, you should definitely check it out. Some stuff happened. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
Something major happened. I really enjoyed both nights of WrestleMania. You know, it's like just I thought both main events delivered. I give the slight edge to the triple threat on night 2 as like a better match, but the emotions for Bianca and Sasha were really special. You know, seeing them both, you know, holding back the tears, you know, and that was a really nice moment when the fans were just cheering, just cheered both of them before the match even started to show their appreciation that, you know, that how special this moment was them and them giving them their love. I thought it was really cool.
Right.
Absolutely. I was happy to be there for sure. I was very happy to be there.
Yeah. What's your question for us there, Aaron or Justin?
So, Aaron, what did you think of Takeover last week before Mania?
That was also a 2-night event. A lot of crazy matches over those 2 nights there in Takeover. Yeah, Aaron, what'd you think?
Speechless. Like just the way that NXT always delivers. Like stand and deliver, they deliver, brother. Yeah. I tell you what, though, the match that really surprised me, and I think was maybe my favorite, was Tommaso Ciampa versus Walter.
That was a great match.
That lived up to the hype. That match. Yeah. People online were super pumped for Walter versus Ciampa because they knew those two were just going to beat the living bejesus out of each other, and they did. Yeah. It was awesome.
I don't know if you saw this, maybe not, but Jim Cornette, my buddy Jim, reviewed the Tommaso Ciampa and Walter match, and I he said people say all the time that he doesn't like modern wrestling. Well, he said that the Walter versus Ciampa match was the best match he'd seen in decades. He loved every minute of it, and he said that because Tommaso Ciampa came in with what am I trying to say here? He came in with 1-digit body fat, is what Triple H said. So he had like 9% body. Dude was chiseled to the core. Right. But Jim Cornette said that if Tommaso Ciampa was a serial killer, then we would all be in trouble because of his level of commitment to professional wrestling and how he gets his body ready and how he's come back from all of these injuries and stuff. His level of commitment is second to none. And he loves Walter too. I mean, he said that Walter was Walter could have been a heel in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now. Absolutely. Like it always works. And I just thought that was such high praise for a guy that gets so much crap corny, but I agree with everything that he said on that one. I thought that match was incredible.
I'm shocked. That's surprising praise for Cornette. I don't agree with a lot of his takes these days, but glad to hear him give praise when it's properly due for that match. Yeah, both of those guys are just so dedicated to wrestling. I mean, Triple H just mentioned that both have both mentoring people and also help produce matches behind the scenes. You know, it's because how much they love the business, which is really nice to see. And I think that's definitely where Ciampa's going to be when he finally decides to hang the boots up. He's definitely going to be, a producer. He's going to help
in the back.
People.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Absolutely.
He's a student, man. He's 100%.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect from the match. When we previewed it, I spoke about the 2 different styles, and damn if they didn't make it work. Damn if it didn't look like he really had a shot to beat Walter. I thought for 2 of those falls that he legitimately was going to be given that belt, and I thought to myself, I would be so surprised it did it, but then a piece of me be like, it makes sense as a thank you for all the work that Ciampa has put in to sell so many matches, to keep coming back from injury. But you got to keep the Walter train rolling. I wonder when he's going to lose, because he's had it so long. And he's absolutely right, because he's a one-word title and he wears simple black trunks. That's it. He's just, we saw, what was the guy that was coming out of NXT and then never really kind of got into the WWE? Now he's gone. The guy that wore the red tights, same kind of vibe. That guy, I forget his name, came out and he had
Lars Sullivan.
Lars Sullivan. Yeah. Lars was possibly kind of a smaller version of, or a slightly more minimized version of Walter. But Walter is what you remember from old school wrestling, like back in the 50s and 60s. So it's a heritage that he's doing with that character, and it completely works. And Ciampa and him just tore the house down. Yeah.
Yeah. Walter is like the classic. He's an interesting combination of like the monster heel who can just destroy you in the ring.
Yeah.
With the supremely confident that I am the best. I'm the champ. No one can stop me kind of heel. He's like a nice fusion of the two.
Yeah.
So whoever is going to dethrone him is going to get made. It's like the same with Roman right now on SmackDown. Whoever is finally going to dethrone the tribal chief, that's going to be a big moment, because it's like that when you have that good of a heel be the champ, it's like in the time goes on, the longer they're champ, the more the fans build an anticipation, like, okay, who's going to stop him? Who's finally going to bring him down?
Yeah,
it's like, and it makes that moment much more special.
Agreed.
Yep. I also love the unsanctioned match was insane between O'Reilly and Adam Cole.
Yeah,
that was a brutal war.
They should be dead. They both should be dead. Yeah,
my only complaint I thought was a little too long. I thought maybe they cut out a couple minutes of it. Okay. But still, the match was like insane. And I'll be interested to see if, because I know some people, all the rumors like, oh, does it mean Adam Cole's gonna go up to the main roster? It's like, we'll just wait and see. I'm not gonna pass judgment on that. I love how Triple H was joking, like, it's whenever someone loses a big match on Takeover or on WrestleMania time, it's like everyone assumes that means that they're getting called up to the main roster. It's like even Triple H and HBK are getting kind of tired of people speculating that. It's like guys, just chill out.
He's fine where he is.
Yeah. Well, and also they laid the groundwork by doing that a number of times. So it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility, and people are coming up with it out of thin air as well. So, one more thing.
I also found it interesting that you had Raquel dethrone Io's long title reign on Takeover, and then you had both, Bianca and Rhea winning the singles titles at Mania. It was a big change in the guard throughout the entire week for the women's division in all three shows. It was like, three all new up and coming stars who are young and talented. So, and it's like that was really good to see. It's like, I love the horsewomen, Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley, and Asuka. They've been carrying the division for the last like 2-3 years, but it's definitely time to bring up some, make new stars and new talent to keep everything fresh, because they can't keep them on top forever as good as they are, because then it's like things get stale. You need to be able to change things up. So,
yeah,
absolutely, I agree.
Good point. Yeah, agree, Justin, very much so. Well, thanks for coming in, brother. It's good to see you. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Awesome. Zeno Hour says, hey, Aaron Turner and Rocha, you can get $2 million if you take chops from Walter for an hour. Do you say yes?
No, because I'd be dead. I would be dead. It's the way that guy hits, man. It's like different.
People be like, would you fight Mike Tyson for $10 million? No. You can't put me back together with the $10 million I'm going to get after that man unleashes a right across my face and sends my bones outside of my skin. There's no way. But I appreciate it, Zeno. Thank you. All right, let's bring in one more person who's waiting to talk to us, and it's a brother of ours from the Strong Style side of things. Hell Nellums! What's up,
brother?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good,
What's
man.
up, brother? How are you feeling?
Chilling. I'm feeling good. check it out NXT. Something's happening and it's on mute, so I'm so
Don't
confused right now.
man.
Not saying nothing. Super enjoyed this past week of wrestling, and it's much needed. Seeing fans, it was weird. I had a weird mixed feeling of seeing fans because seeing I didn't know they were gonna pack the front area, the ringside area.
That was weird, yeah.
So much, and that that kind of freaked me out.
Yeah,
and especially seeing a lot of people down there with no masks. I was like, come on, But that being aside, I loved the week. I loved everything.
Yeah. What was your favorite? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. My favorite. So Takeover, Ciampa Walter.
Oh,
Like ever since I saw Walter on the Indies versus Keith Lee a few years ago, like Walter impressed the hell out of me. So seeing the run that he's on now coming in has been incredible. And God, I want to see them too.
I want to see him lock horns too, man.
At some point in WWE. Sasha Bianca for me was the match of the weekend, though, also for WrestleMania. And it's funny because, and I wish I could remember the source. Bianca did an interview recently about how Naomi was an inspiration to her.
Wow.
And how, after she found out she was going to wrestle Sasha, how she was telling Naomi that this should be her spot.
Wow.
That Bianca, like that. Oof. Bianca felt like she was taking Naomi's spot, and Naomi was like, nah, like, no, this is you. Like, you got this. Like, whatever you do is for all of us. So, just seeing how humble she is.
Right.
And then her winning, which I won't lie, I was actually surprised.
Yeah.
That she won.
Because I said in our prediction that I can totally see her not winning, but delivering one hell of a match that gets you hyped for what's coming. But because I thought it was a bit too early for her to get it. But damn, I mean, I think Aaron brings up an excellent point. Maybe Mercedes is off to do other things. And so handing it off to a fellow black woman to carry the ball for a while is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So my question though, refers to Reigns. And who's possibly next for him? I have a feeling either Edge or Bryan's going to run it back at Backlash. But after that, I'm really feeling Big E to be the next one to go after that title. And one of the reasons why I'm thinking is because, this is my stupid self-booking in my head, is, Apollo's change came after he had that backstage segment with Reigns. Right? No one ever knows what Reigns said to him, but after that segment is when Apollo flipped the switch and went heel. Yeah. So I could totally see Big E blaming the Reigns for that. Which is probably, and maybe that's why Big E dropped the title to Apollo, freeing him up to go for that championship run. So that's just, I know that's what I want. I don't know.
I got you.
Happen,
but it makes sense. Aaron, what do you think? We've speculated on when Big E is going to get his push. Is this the move now after he lost at WrestleMania?
Well, we were talking about a minute ago, dethroning the tribal chief. I think Big E's going to be the guy that does it. I think Big E is going to be the guy that beats Roman Reigns. I think it's going to come at next year's WrestleMania. I think Roman will be the guy for that long.
Wow. You think he holds on to the belt for a year?
It makes sense. Wow. I think what they're going to do is they're going to spin Edge and Daniel Bryan off eventually into a feud with themselves. And I think that in short term, that Roman's going to feud with Cesaro for a little bit because Cesaro got that big win over Seth. Right. And then eventually maybe Seth and Roman feud again. And then eventually we're going to get Big E freed up to go after Roman Reigns and possibly beat him. I don't know if he will or not, but I think that would be – that's like – as I'm going through my head, like the Rolodex of people that, okay, like who's next up? Then it's got to be Big E. Like Big E's got to be next up to take down Roman Reigns because it's not going to be Kevin Owens because we already tried that. And I think it's going to be Big E. I think he's going to be the guy.
That's a Yeah, that seems to make the most sense to me too, as you lay it out, because I mean, they've kind of been slowly moving towards embracing more of what Big E can do. You know, he had a little bit of a mini run a few years back, but now maybe with a little more season, a little more years under him, there's now a real impetus to push him and see what you can get out of him. The fans absolutely love him. When they reunited backstage on that segment, you could hear the crowd cheering on that video segment that the New Day was kind of back together, at least for that conversation. And his look, I mean, the way he was messing with that dude back there, I don't know the guy's name, the commentator, but it was brilliant what he was doing, messing with him. It just shows you that this guy has so much talent. To play the characters, to play the roles, to improv in the scenes, but also to do great work in the ring. And you might be right. This is a way of kind of how better to strap the rocket onto a guy than to have him beat someone like Roman Reigns, who's held the title for so long. So, yeah, that seems to make a lot of sense to me, because I don't see any other big contender. Yeah, Cesaro, but he'll never get there. So I think that makes the most sense.
He could.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Cesaro in that spot either.
He's too skinny. What happened to him?
He's not.
I want to know what happened,
bro.
He's so strong as all hell.
It's like when The Rock came out and he was in Be Cool. You're like, what? That's not The Rock. And then you see him in Fast Five. You're like, that's The Rock. You know,
He'll still swing anybody.
That's true. He's still strong. Yeah, that's for damn sure. No doubt.
I have one more question.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys. I don't know if you saw. Actually, it doesn't matter. Raw. Does WWE trying to pretend that Raw Underground never existed?
Yeah, pretty much, because Dabba-Kato and Amos
and Amos, and like they act like these are brand new people who've never been anywhere before. Okay,
that when the Dabba-Kato one insulted my intelligence, I was like, come on, I know exactly who that is. Like,
I mean, I know they have a tendency to forget continuity when it comes to their stuff. But okay, I was like, is this just me or is this?
You mean like the Raw general manager? Yeah, you mean like that?
You know exactly who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked, but I like that match. What did you guys think about the match? We Big E and Apollo Crews. I thought Apollo was fantastic. Both of them just almost as good as what we saw with Lashley and McIntyre, but with all that extra paraphernalia around in the ring.
The match was fine for me. I think I was expecting a little bit more.
Yeah,
okay,
you know.
I thought the emotion was there, like between the guys. Like they really had a lot of emotion going into it. Like you could tell, like, these guys probably don't like each other,
right?
But then when the whole Dabba-Kato thing happened, I was like, you know what? Fuck this match. Like I'm out.
I didn't mind the Dabba-Kato running.
Neither did I.
That fits the whole motif. It's just the match in general. Like, look, nobody got hit with a drum.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a gong. I wanted to see the gong.
The crowd was chanting, "Use the drum." They were chanting that.
But anyway, also, John, I just wanted to say thank you guys for doing Strong Style every week.
Thank you.
The highlights of my week, and John, your channel has been one of the highlights of the pandemic.
Oh, thanks, man.
I said this to you a while ago. You know, I discovered you guys after going to the Schmodown in Brooklyn last January. So thankfully, my friend took me to that, and since then, I've discovered all you guys, and it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing.
The blessings on my end. Thank you very much.
Yes,
I appreciate it. We love seeing you every time you pop
up
on Strong Style. It's always fun to get your comments and your thoughts, and we appreciate you being a fan of the show. Honestly, we love it. Thank you, Hill. Much love, man.
Good night.
All right, there's Hill Nellums. One of, I would say, Strong Style's one of the Strong Style first row fans. I would say absolutely.
He would be there. He would be there at our live event. He would be there.
Oh yeah, if we ever did a live event, that would be fun. If anybody ever came to it, absolutely, he'd be there for sure. All right, let's move into night two. Well, let me bring on my producer, Sean. Sean, you want to tell people where they can come in live, maybe a little bit later as we're talking about night two. What's up, bud? How are you?
I'm doing good. How you gentlemen doing? Loving the conversation, even though I'm not necessarily the biggest current wrestling fan, more of a like 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
We'll catch you up.
I was afraid to get the WWE Network because I was like, I would just go on a binge like nobody's business, and
that's how you do it.
I would never exist
anymore, so you're okay.
Well, that's fair. So I was like, I'm glad I never got on that train. But Anywho's, so if you guys have noticed, if you're part of the Outlaw Nation Patreon, you saw some of John's patrons come in early. They get early access to come on the Outlaw Nation show. So if you're not part of the Patreon, why not? We have a good time. The link is in the Discord, and then when you click on the link, it would bring you to StreamYards where John will be able to see you, and it would ask you to verify your microphone and your headphones, and then we'll probably put the link later on in the chat if you're not a part of the Patreon, and you can come in and ask Aaron and John some questions about whatever they're currently talking about. Try to have at least one question so we can get through as many people as we possibly can. And also, please like the video now. And we know a lot of you guys watch the video afterwards. So like and always leave a comment. John does reply to the comments as long as they're civil. So we can just elevate the visibility of the show and help John's channel get to where we all want it to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it madly, brother.
Well, I would like to
do you have a question?
Aaron
Sure.
Yeah, sure, of course. So, Aaron, I know we share something in common in terms of, like I said, old school wrestling, in terms of our love for Mr. Bret Hart. And I know John does not necessarily...
I'm going to go grab a drink. You guys talking about Bret Hart.
Why you really laugh?
You walked off the set.
I was gonna say, like, what are some of your favorite Bret Hart matches, especially like since you're talking about WrestleMania, like some WrestleMania matches, I guess.
I mean, obviously, the first one that comes to mind is Bret versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. The blood in the face and all that stuff. Yeah. It's perfect. I mean, Bret really was the stalwart for the WrestleManias of my youth. Like, he had the match with Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9, which didn't go really his way and it was terrible. And then you had WrestleMania 10, which is arguably his next best match with Owen Hart, his own brother. And he had 2 matches that night. He fought Yokozuna as well. And then you have WrestleMania 12 with Shawn Michaels, which is, the Iron Man match, the first ever one, where he unfortunately lost, but, he was still a great, significant part of that match. Just, I don't know, man. Like, I don't associate, like, great WrestleMania matches with Bret Hart. Like, I associate that more with Shawn Michaels. But he's had some damn good ones, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I also, and then I think he was just also very gracious in those matches, especially with you bring up the WrestleMania with Yokozuna and then the stupid Hulk Hogan thing after, which was like the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And I think Bret has a beef with Hogan with the fact that he never lost a title to Bret, even though I think Bret deserved that, to be honest. So just the fact that Bret kind of got screwed in that point. So, but also I do like, it's not necessarily a WrestleMania match. I know you guys have talked about it before when he fought the British Bulldog at SummerSlam.
Yeah. SummerSlam
like that was, and even the fact that I knew back then that Bret was going to lose, because like you're not going to have British Bulldog in WrestleMania in London, the last match, and Bret win. So I was like, once I knew that match was last, I knew like Bret's gonna lose. And the fact that when you hear the behind the scenes of like what Davey Boy was going through and how Bret had to carry him, it still was such a great match. And the fact that I don't know, Bret was just like, for me, he was the perfect bridge from like the 80s Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man kind of stuff into the Attitude. He was the perfect bridge into like Stone Cold and The Rock, and I personally don't think he gets enough credit for carrying the company through that time, because if it wasn't for Bret, who's to say where the WWF now would be if it wasn't for him? He carried it through, you could say, like the darkest era of the WWE to a degree.
Yeah, I think Bret Hart would be the first person to tell you that he doesn't get enough credit as well. Can't think enough of, can't forget about Cranky Bret Hart. It's my favorite. But yeah, I think you're right. I think he really was that guy, and that's why they ran with him for so long until they got to Shawn, was because Bret was always that guy. He was that utility player that you could always plug in there. Okay, we need somebody for a feud with an up-and-comer Stone Cold. Okay, let's plug in Bret and see how that works. Mm-hmm. And then you can't forget, like, even as a heel, like, whoever thought Bret Hart would be a heel after, when he won the world title? And he was a great heel. And it just, the way that Bret Hart worked was just always different, always on another level, but he was always a company guy at first until, the whole thing with Vince and the Survivor Series 97 happened. He was always your stalwart. He was your company guy. He was your ace player. And he really doesn't get enough credit for that run in the early 90s for doing all that stuff for the WWF.
Yeah. If you say so. Yeah, I agree.
Just one more thing about Brett. Like, do you think like he would ever like be more of a behind the scenes type person, like help with storylines? Because I know that's something that he's talked about in interviews, that he would love to do stuff like that because he has great ideas of telling stories and things like that. Do you ever think the WWE would let him do that, or they would ever come together to have that point where a marriage like that could take place?
I would love to see it. I don't know if the WWE would be reaching out to Bret Hart about stuff, but if Bret had something to pitch, I'm sure he could call Vince and it would be fine.
Yeah, that's true. Vince is always open to hear from his former wrestlers for sure. But yeah. All right. Is there anything else, Sean? Or are you good?
No, I didn't mean for you to leave after.
No, I just used that excuse to get more. I was thirsty as hell. And you know, the shot dehydrates you, so you got to keep drinking. So I was thirsty as hell.
Which I'm in line with you guys. I literally got my first shot today too. So I've been laying out drinking water. So I would advise you guys to do the same.
Yeah, I'm wrecked. I don't know how I'm doing the show. I'm absolutely wrecked. But I had to talk about it. So
I'm like Aaron. I'm doing okay for the most part. I'm fine.
Oh, okay, that's good. I'm glad you're
wimp.
Fine. Yeah, I know.
It must be the age difference.
I didn't say that.
I look younger than both of you put together. All right, thanks.
Anyway,
get out of there. All right, there he is. All right, you heard Sean say if you guys want to come in live and ask us questions, feel free. The link is in the chat. Aaron, let's move on to night 2, and please keep sending in your Streamlabs super chats. In fact, Christian Romo sent in the Streamlabs that these 2 night shows are way more digestible. You can make it like a music festival where the whole week can make them all the money in merch and ticket sales plus hashtag City on Twitter. It would be a financial blunder just to make this the new family trip. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Fine.
That's my opinion on it. I agree with him completely, Christian Ramos. So, and we talked about it already. 2 nights or 1 night. We had our opinions on that. So if you want to rewind it back a little bit, you can listen to our thoughts on that. So, Aaron, night 2. We start off, as we mentioned, the wet fart with what happened there with God damn it, with the Fiend.
The Fiend,
the Fiend and Randy Orton. But then we moved on to some other, I thought, okay matches, not great matches overall. But what did you think? Let's start with the Raw Women's Championship. I didn't sense the same kind of majesty or magic as I'd had the night before with Sasha and Bianca. And to be fair, you know, it's not like this is unusual in this way, but Rhea finally kind of getting her shot at winning the title and getting it done. Asuka, who had been terribly booked by the WWE for months, now maybe gets to move back, although she had the match last night, kind of rematch that really didn't kind of solve anything. What did you think about this match overall, and what did you think about them deciding to put the strap on Rhea?
Well, I kind of thought that's how it would go. They would put the strap on Rhea, but I got to be honest, like night 2 in general just really was a drag.
Yeah.
It started out with the Fiend and Randy Orton thing, which was just real bad. The thing that really got me excited though was, you know, Rhea had that really big entrance with the live Ash Costello performance, which I thought was really cool. So she comes out and does her thing. I like Rhea as a person as well as a wrestler. She's a great person. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I wanted to see her win. I wanted to see her have a competitive match, but the match to me was just so. Yeah. I was more impressed by what Asuka was doing than I was what Rhea was doing. I don't think that Rhea really brought her how do I want to say it? I don't think she presented herself as this like unstoppable badass that I expected her to be. So I think there was a disconnect there. I think it was a combination of the crowd was tired as well. Mm-hmm. I just don't think people were super into this match the way they were Bianca and Sasha because it was so fire. And it was we were coming off of that Bad Bunny match, which had everybody hyped. Yeah. And it I don't know, man. It just kind of wasn't quite there, but it was a decent match.
Yeah. I agree. It was a decent match. It felt a little anticlimactic with what we'd seen the night before. And like you said, I thought that was the more obvious title change match over Sasha and Bianca. So I wasn't surprised by the end. But I thought Rhea wrestled a good match. Yeah. I thought Asuka wrestled a good match. I just think there wasn't much chemistry between them to kind of really elevate the match. And maybe that's the point of taking the belt off Rhea. Maybe they sense that they've gone as far as they can go with Asuka, and they think there are more possibilities with Rhea. And remember, Rhea's only, 24 years old? There's so much to play off of and play into here with other people who may want a shot at this belt and may want to line up. Although, do you see any title contenders at this point from what you've seen from the Raw roster of women? Do you see anybody in contention here?
Well, it looks like we're going to get Charlotte. It looks like that's what it's going to be. If you watch Monday Night Raw, Charlotte Flair.
Right.
And then, of course, you've got eventually the breakup of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, which is going to happen. So you'll have those two. You got Alexa, which you're going to have to throw into the mix. Possibly returning Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey.
All right.
Plenty in there.
6 months from now, we could be in a really good situation on Raw side of things for sure. That's a great point you make, Aaron. Absolutely. Let's see. Shamir Kelly said, hi, John and Aaron. Just started watching earlier in the year. I went to the Super Bowl at Raymond James, and the section I was sitting in sitting at the security was strict with masks and had cardboard. So did you have that? So you said the security wasn't as stringent about the masks, but did you have cardboard people around you, or was it taped off? How did they set that up so that you guys had that distance between you?
The lower bowl had cardboard cutouts in it.
Okay.
There was no tape or anything to distance us. So it was just kind of like, hey, you know, just
Scouts
don't sit
honor?
Scouts honor. Essentially, Scouts honor. It's funny, like I compared it to Disney when I was talking to my wife about it, because when you go to Disney World, and let's say that you're sitting down getting a drink of water at Disney World, and you have to take your mask off. Brother, if you take a breath and you still don't have that mask on, somebody at Disney that works there is right in front of you saying, wow, you need to put your mask back on.
Wow.
Like, they don't mess around there. Same thing at Universal. Like, they don't mess around. You walk around eating popcorn. The second you go to grab that popcorn again, you better put that mask back on, because there's going to be someone telling you. So that's what I expected.
Right.
That's what I expected to be, and it was nowhere near that at all.
Wow. All right. So let's move on here. Another match that happened that we spoke already about, Big E and Apollo Crews. We gave our thoughts on that match. We'd be remiss not to mention KO and Sami Zayn. This is where I think night 2 started. I tweeted that match was fantastic. I don't think it quite lived up to the hype that everyone was hoping it lived up to, but it came damn close. And I think Logan Paul had the appropriate amount of interaction in that match. Sitting outside the ring, not interfering, coming in at the end, choosing a side, and then getting stunnered for it. What did you think about this match and the Logan Paul part of it?
I was not feeling Logan Paul at all in the build up to this, or even being at WrestleMania.
What was the reaction in the crowd too to Logan Paul?
Dude, every time he came on the screen, he got booed. Every time when he came out, he got booed. And I don't think WWE was expecting that necessarily.
Okay.
So I think they were surprised by that. But yeah, he got booed every time he was on the screen by everybody. I think the KO and Sami match is just another chapter in a longer book. And I was totally fine with that match. Like, it didn't have to be anything that it didn't need to be.
Right.
It was exactly what they had to do. They had a great match, and we got the stunner on Logan Paul, which everybody knew was coming and everybody wanted by the end of the night. And Kevin Owens gave it to us. And while it may not be like the best WrestleMania moment, it definitely got the crowd hyped, because they wanted to see that douchebag get it. And he got it.
Did he take the stunner well? They had weird camera angles when you saw it. He did okay. He did like The Rock, but he did. It seemed like he took it and then fell over. Like,
he did fine. It was fine.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But all right, that's a fair point. Another chapter in a longer book with those guys for sure. Always going to it. Oh, now the original bro. You got your Rob Van Dam moment in the back. What did you with the Great Khali, which I thought was hilarious. By the way, what a sweet Hall of Fame speech from Great Khali as well. You know, not a man of many words, but certainly words that were heartfelt. So it was great to see that. What did you think about the moment with Rob Van Dam and Khali with Matt Riddle, and then Matt Riddle's match with Sheamus, which ended in a surprising fashion, according to both of us, because we had thought that Riddle would totally retain the title in our preview.
I cannot believe that they brought out rolling papers on a pay-per-view. That really surprised me. I was like, whoa, but here we are. That happened. I cracked up because they were interviewing Riddle on the bump, And RVD like did a run in on it, and Riddle was like so excited to see it. He's like, dude, I haven't seen you in like 10 years. Like, what's going on, brother? And it's just like these two characters that are kind of the same, like like two Spicolis like merging into each other. Right. It was awesome to see. I'm a big Rob Van Dam fan. I was so glad he was there, and we all got to do the RVD in person. It was great. And Riddle and Sheamus was a match that I didn't have a lot of stock in. I like both guys.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it would be any good. And I got to say, like, it really surprised me. And what Sheamus was able to do, because at one point, Sheamus was supposed to do something off the top rope, and he kind of slipped off.
Yes.
But then he recovered really nicely and jumped off the top rope and did a knee. And that was actually I thought it was really spectacular that he did that. And then the finish really got people excited. Matt Riddle goes for the moonsault off the rope, and Sheamus hits that bro kick.
Dude.
Talk about timing. We talked about it in the Bad Bunny match. Like, if the timing is off by just a hair, it's awful and looks terrible. But Sheamus hit it absolutely perfectly. And it was a perfect finish, a really cool WrestleMania spot, and got the crowd really hyped.
And really hit him, or he had a blood capsule in his mouth because he was bleeding almost.
Oh, he kicked the shit out of him.
Yeah. And that was like, damn. So don't tell me it's not real. Maybe, it's predetermined. It's real, though, with these guys and girls, as you saw from Sasha's welt across her side, what they endure and go through to put on a great show for everybody. And I was surprised by it, but that kick, I was like, oh, when that kick happened, it was brutal, absolutely brutal. And so I was so surprised they went with that route. So what do you think they're setting up? Is this a Sheamus versus Keith Lee situation now? These two behemoths going at each other, Vince's wet dream, essentially, and they move Riddle into some other place. What do you think is going to happen here?
I'm 100% fine with Keith Lee versus Sheamus. I think that sounds awesome. I don't know what they're going to do with Riddle. He's in a weird area because last night he got the hell beat out of by Bobby Lashley. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, good point.
I don't know what they're going to do with Riddle right now. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I hope he doesn't slide down the card too much because I thought he had a great performance. I thought he did exactly what he had to do at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Are we feeling some Shinsuke Nakamura Ricochet vibes, possibilities here?
I hope not. I think they like Matt Riddle too much to let that happen to him.
A lot of people were bashing him online, though, dude. A lot of people were like, even Gilmore weighed in on a tweet I rolled out about it because I retweeted somebody who said RVD and his terrible clone or something like that. So
whoa, what did Gilmore say?
He said he agreed. He agreed. Not a fan of Matt Riddle. That Brad Gilmore, not a fan. Sorry, guy.
Whatever, bro.
Whatever, bro. The original bro, my butt. Anyway, all right, then let's move on. Yeah, we did the Randy Orton, Bray, Wyatt, and let's do we want to talk about the tag team women's match? Anything to take away from that other than Shayna Baszler has no business being there slumming it? No offense to those ladies, but in essence, where those ladies are at and where Shayna Baszler should be at are two different levels completely. And I think Shayna needs to be up there. So that was my cell phone. I thought it was my drink, so I was freaking out for a second there. But what did you think about this watching this tag team match?
Well, it was fine for what it was. I'm so glad that everybody booed Nia Jax because that's exactly what I wanted, and she got booed really hard. It was great. Something that happened, I got to talk to you about this. This Tommy Dreamer tweet that really got me. I know it got me steamed for some reason. Tommy Dreamer tweeted about Tamina Snuka. He said that if the WWE office listens to their fans, then if you listen to the people at WrestleMania, then Tamina Snuka should be your top babyface.
What?
And I was like, are you high? Like, Tamina did get a good reaction at WrestleMania, but it was not because they were cheering Tamina. It was for two reasons. It was, first of all, in the tag team turmoil match on night one, Natalya and Tamina did a double team move, the Heart Attack, which is what the Heart Foundation used to do. So it was like an ode to her father. That's why people cheered that. And number two, when Tamina went to the top and people were getting excited, is because she did the Superfly Splash because her father. That's why people were cheering. They weren't cheering because Tamina was doing it. They cheered because it was a Superfly Splash.
Right.
That's why. No. And it blew my mind. I was like, no offense to Tamina. I hear she's an excellent person. Yeah. But it's like Tamina's had her shots. She had They were going to go with her against Bayley. If you recall, I think it was at Money in the Bank. She wrestled Bayley.
Yep.
And they tried to build it up to be significant. And Tamina couldn't go. Like, she was gassed 5 minutes into the match.
Yep.
So I don't know like where that came from. But Tommy Dreamer's a legend. Like, dude, read the room. They had Raquel Gonzalez, they had Bianca Belair, and they had Rhea Ripley winning world titles. It's not Tamina Snuka's time. We're past that. Like,
yeah, we are past that.
About?
We're past Natalia's time. We're past Tamina's time. Really, in my opinion, we're past Nia Jax's time. But they, there's blood and family and what have you, with The Rock and all that and Roman Reigns. But like for me, Shayna Baszler is like, get her out of that program completely. So go ahead and put her into something else. This is a woman that should be your top heel on the women's side of things. She is a brutal, brutal wrestler and has earned her keep. Whatever Vince's issues with her are, he needs to get over them because Shayna's a star, man. Shayna is a star. If you book her correctly, she is a star. So to me, it's frustrating that she's stuck in something like this and should have had a better WrestleMania moment for the talent and the level that she's at. And Natty yelling at the crowd to cheer her, man, I don't know. As an old school wrestling fan, that is like cardinal rule number one of what not to do. The fans will get behind you if they want to get behind you. If you need to force them to get behind you, it's not authentic in any way, shape, or form. And she's a lifer with generations of time in. So I was surprised that she pulled that move. It was cute when you were watching it after night one, when they showed her walking out and she was cheering, talking to the fans in the crowd. That's awesome because that's after match stuff. Mm-hmm. But during the match, that just seemed weird to me. What did you think of that?
I mean, people like Natty no matter what. So she doesn't need people to do that. So whatever.
Yeah, it was weird to me. That's all I'll say it was weird to me. All right, let's get into this triple threat match, brother. I think that's the last match we haven't spoken about. We should jump into it. I absolutely love this match. I maybe lost my head a little bit and tweeted that this will go down in the annals of one of the greatest WrestleMania matches ever. Maybe I lost my head a little bit, but maybe. I will say that I thoroughly, thoroughly love this match. I couldn't find one thing to pick apart. I had no problem with the Jey Uso interference. So many people had issues with it. I'm like, he's a heel. This is literally his job is to be a heel, and his family member was a part of it from the beginning of the match. They never sent him to the back like they do in certain matches. He stayed around, so it was no surprise that he got involved in this match. And the back and forth amongst all three of them were incredible. And this could have gone either way, which added to my enjoyment of the match. What did you think overall watching it there live in the stands?
First things first, one of the highlights of my weekend was once again to get to boo the shit out of Roman Reigns. I had missed booing Roman Reigns for so long, and now I got the chance. I had to wait like a year or so. I got to boo the shit out of Roman Reigns in person, and it was awesome because a lot of people did too. And I think a lot of people expected people to cheer for Roman Reigns, and we didn't give it to you, man. Like, we're going to do what we want to do, and we want to boo Roman Reigns. We know he's great, and he's been great. We're still going to boo him because we want to.
Right.
And got to do the yes chant and, give Edge a good reception. I thought that, after the Rhea match, people were really excited for the triple threat. That's what everybody was talking about in the concourse in day two. Everybody was really excited to see that match. Right. I thought everybody got their stuff in. I thought Daniel Bryan did great with the yes kicks, and it was loud and people loved it. And, Edge got to hit his spears, and he got a good spot on Jey Uso where he DDT'd him on the stairs, and then Roman Reigns speared him off the steps, and just everybody did everything that they were supposed to do. There's really nothing I didn't like about it.
Okay.
The spot where Edge and Daniel Bryan both had the crossface on Roman Reigns was pretty fun.
Oh my God. I thought they were going to kill him. I was texting with Kevin Smets. Shout out to my brother Kevin. We were texting through the latter half of night 2 of WrestleMania about everything we were reacting to. And when they put that on, Kevin texted me. He's like, "What is happening?" And I texted back. I said, "They're going to accidentally kill him. They're yanking his head back so hard, and they put a piece of the chair in his mouth." Yeah. I'm like, they're going to kill him on accident. It was insane what was happening there. But what a great moment in that match.
Yeah, it was a great visual for sure. And then when Edge was doing the concerto and hit Daniel Bryan, had that look on his face. Like, it was so perfectly done. And I was like, oh my God, Edge might win this. And then when Roman hit Edge with it, it was great. And I think people were expecting Edge to kick out. And I think that when he didn't, that really surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
But, you know, what's funny is, like, a couple weeks ago on SmackDown, Roman Reigns was doing an interview or a promo, and he said, I'm going to beat you all so badly, and then I'm going to take both your bodies and I'm going to stack them on top of each other, and I'm going to beat you. And I was like, holy shit, he did. That's exactly what he did. He took Edge's body and stacked it on Daniel Bryan, and he pinned him.
Yeah,
like, that was awesome. And I think people were excited that Roman Reigns retained. I know I think it caught people off guard at first.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I can't believe a heel won the main event of WrestleMania. And we had so many heels win.
Right.
It felt kind of strange, but that's the outcome that I wanted. That's the outcome I think that we were going to get. I think people were, for the most part, were pretty happy with it. I thought it was a great match.
I think so too. I mean, he endured so much in that match. Was so close to tapping or getting, pinned in that match so many times. Edge showed out like crazy in that match, bro. I mean, like, just the looks, the savage look on Edge's face now is something that looks so much more menacing as he's gotten older, because he's made the same faces when he was a heel, when he was younger and had the rated R superstar. But seeing him as this guy, this older guy, there's a mania in his face that is unsettling and perfect for what he's trying to do. And Daniel Bryan telling this story about himself in the match. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not just what you do in the ring physically, right? It's also the journey as an actor, and they are actors, whether you want low-key or high level or low level actors or medium level, that's your subjective opinion, but they're actors at a base foundation. Daniel Bryan's journey through that match, struggling with the going to the heel place, going to the dark place. And after he did that thing, I think it was with Edge stomping his face in, and he kind of went down on his knees, and he's really kind of like exploring what that feeling was like for him again. It was brilliant. All of it was brilliant. And then at the end, Roman winning it the way he did, I thought was fantastic. And it makes the most sense creatively. And it's a move the WWE hasn't always had the guts to make. This is the smarter move long term. Short term, yeah, you let Edge or Daniel Bryan win, but how long are they going to keep the belt? Maybe a pay-per-view or two? It's a smarter move to build for the future with a guy like Roman Reigns, who has put in his time. He's been booed. He's been hated. People have been mad at him getting shoved down their throats. Now he's finally literally the head of the table, and he is walking forward with that belt. And it allows for more possibilities than if Edge or Daniel Bryan had won, which had been a momentary or temporary moment of joy, but it wouldn't have led to much creatively down the road. This leads to more. So it just makes more sense. And they've rarely had the guts to do it. And I applaud them, as you just said a few minutes ago, that they did.
I can't say enough about it. Like, you may have overreached when you said it was the best, one of the best main events of all time. I think it was great. I think it was great for WrestleMania, for what it was. Absolutely. I thought every guy did exactly what they needed to do. We got to the right outcome. Yeah. You can't really ask for much more than that. And especially with night 2, which I think that once, Daniel Bryan once Randy Orton and the Fiend happened, we kind of got on this thing in night 2 where it was like the booking is like, I rarely say the word like booking's bad, but night 2 was booked pretty bad. Like, we had so many title matches back to back to back, and they should have been split across both nights. It was like, all right, Intercontinental title, okay, tag title, okay, this title. And it's like, shit, dude. Like, and night 2 felt like it went so much faster than night 1 as well. Like, it was just like boom, 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 boom. Like, you didn't have time to breathe. It was like, okay, we're done with this match. We're on to the next one. Okay, we're on to the next one. Where night 1, even though they had a delay, felt like I got to catch my breath and I got to get excited for the next match that was coming. Yeah. So I don't know what the deal was with that, but it just seemed like the booking and the decision-making was so off on night 2, except for the finale. I thought it ended great.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's more to come, but it was a hell of an event. Now, you've had a couple of days. Overall, what's your overall feeling about WrestleMania 37? Are you ready to give it a grade or a score in your mind as you think about it all, as we've just talked about it for almost 2 hours here on the show?
I think night one is an A for sure. I think everything pretty much delivered, and there was very few lulls in the show.
Yeah.
I would give night two like a C plus. So I guess it kind of comes out with a B grade overall, and I think that's fine. I mean, as a WrestleMania, you really, outside of being an AA plus, you can't really ask for much more, especially when we're coming back from a pandemic with a WrestleMania that wasn't exactly booked great with all these great storylines. I mean,
good point.
We got exactly what we needed in it. To have a B, I think, is pretty damn good.
Which was the most surprising match of the night that you enjoyed? The Strowman Shane McMahon match, or the Matt Riddle Sheamus match? Those are my two surprise matches of the both nights.
Bad Bunny surprised me the most, but if I don't if I don't want to talk about Bad Bunny, I would say it would be Sheamus and Riddle really surprised me for how good it was.
Okay. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I still thought the Shane Strowman thing was a little rough to watch at times, but it wasn't unenjoyable for sure. But I thought Sheamus and Riddle, I did not expect anything. It was thoroughly enjoyed. 1,000% agree. All right. We also mentioned we might talk some football here real quick before we wrap up, brother man. What's your feelings? You got the Sam Darnold trade. You got Eddie George about to be a head coach. What's your feeling overall about all the moves that are being happening here? Do you think Julian Edelman is fake? Someone put the GIF of Kevin Nash with the fake cast in the chair. Someone said that could be Edelman showing up in Tampa Bay down the road. What do you think, brother? You're an avid NFL watcher. What's your feeling about everything you've seen so far in the offseason?
They need Julian Edelman. They don't need Julian Edelman. They got Mike Evans. They got Chris Godwin. They got Cameron Brate. They got Rob Gronkowski. Who did they just sign? They just signed Gio Bernard from the Bengals.
Oh, did they really?
Their running back.
Bernard?
So they got Gio Bernard, and it's like they'll fucking need Julian Edelman. Tampa Bay is going to be really, really tough again.
Yeah,
and that's crazy. I can tell you this: the Jets suck. They really want to suck.
Yeah.
I don't know about Darnold to the Panthers.
Let's take a look at this real quick.
That's incredible. Yeah, he didn't pass the physical, and I was like, that guy's in pretty good shape. I don't know how that happened, but Darnold to the Panthers is kind of weird because I thought I don't know about that, but okay, I guess they just sent him to exile.
Yeah, basically, impossible.
But I
think it's a better situation than he was on with the Jets. He's going to have more talent, a better defense, more players to play with. You could argue that if he had stayed with the Jets, he might have a better head coach in Robin Saleh, but we'll see what he can do there in Carolina for sure. The
NFL draft. I mean, we're not far away.
Oh yeah,
I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun one for sure. I always get excited for the NFL draft. It's like my Christmas. Like I go to the store and I get all the magazines. I like to look through them just to see the prospect reports and stuff like that. I used to get Mel Kiper's draft guide mailed to my house before that was a thing. And I just always like looking through that stuff and seeing where these players, because I love college football too, probably more than the NFL, but I just like to see where these college people come from and see how they translate to the NFL. Sorry, Haskell, Jets, SUCK, suck is more like it. But
yikes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Who do you see the surprise coming out, man? Do you have a surprise quarterback coming out of college right now? Once you move past Trevor Lawrence, is there anyone you see besides him that could really make an impact in the NFL?
No, not really. I think Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is really the guy that's going to make the impact. I mean, Justin Fields is very talented. Is a very talented quarterback.
So was Haskins.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't trust him because he's from Ohio State. He's more of a runner than a gunner, and I think that he thinks he's Deshaun Watson, but he's more. I think he's more. God, what's his name? He's more Tyrod Taylor than he wants to be. So he's more Tyrod than Deshaun Watson for sure. Yeah.
Kellen Mond, maybe maybe, but I don't. But Kellen has trouble hitting those like sideline throws, those timing throws. So I don't see.
He throws a lot of he throws a lot of fluff balls, and I don't
Yes.
like his release for the NFL. I think it's too slow.
Felt that way about EJ Manuel as well. Loves to overthrow people, EJ, and I knew he was going to bust out in the NFL too. Good point. All right, and one last thing. Any thoughts on the Deshaun Watson situation here, brother? I mean, clearly the man has an addiction to massage therapists. Whether, of course, whether you want to believe what happened or not, still, you got to look at how many different massage therapists this guy was going to. What's the end result of this, man? What do you think happens here?
I think if you're the Texans, initially, let's not sugarcoat it. The dude wanted out of Houston. He wants out of there so bad. And you kind of got to wonder, like, how many people knew about this? Like, what is the real thing going on? You can't have a guy like this with all these accusations hanging around in your locker room. It doesn't right now. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. Like, there's a lot. You get like 18 accusations or so, whatever it's up to now. It's like, where there's smoke, there's fire. Yeah. And it's just like, you got to either move on, or if there's no charges, you've got to kind of, it's a very odd situation. It's something I didn't expect for Deshaun, like, him coming from Clemson and Dabo Sweeney and knowing that the character of that program. It's very weird. I know the NFL, I guess, in money changes you. I don't know. Or maybe he's always been that guy, but it's very disappointing for a guy that could have been a really significant star in the NFL to be indulging in such things. And I hope it's not true, but
it's kind of hard not to believe it's true.
Exactly. You can't at this point.
It's pretty much, it's too much for sure. All right. And one last thing, who is your star of both nights? Number one star coming out of WrestleMania 37 of both nights. Can you say?
I think the person that came out looking like the best is, I think it's a tie. I think it's between Roman Reigns and Sasha Banks. I think they both came out looking like global superstars.
Even though Sasha didn't win.
She came out better than, she came out better than Bianca. And it tells you right now, if nothing else, SmackDown is the A show. That's the show that they care about, because it main evented both nights of WrestleMania. So you go. There you go right there. But I think Sasha she became, like, they call Kenny Omega like the best bout machine. Like, that's one of his nicknames. And I think you got to say that for Sasha in the women's division. Like, she is the best bout machine. You want to have somebody, get over, have a good match, go put her in there with Sasha. Yeah. You want to have somebody have a good match right now. Who's the top guy in all of wrestling? It's fucking Roman Reigns. That's who's the top guy in wrestling. I can't believe I'm even saying that right now. Like,
it's kind of crazy.
The way that as far as he's come as a heel, just the way that he's done stuff, like, it's unreal. Yeah, he's the top guy.
Absolutely, I would say, and he's such a top guy. After that match, I almost bought a head of the table shirt. And I never thought I'd buy a head of the table shirt, but I'd rather buy shirts from Pro Wrestling Tees. Way better material, fits better on your body. Just a little promotion there. I love them. The WWE stuff not as good. Maybe you have to add, order in the Heather shirt. These are much better. The softer shirts, they're way better on your body than the standard WWE stuff. So there you go. So shout out to Pro Wrestling Tees. I got this shirt for them. What? I love it. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us here tonight on this episode of the Outlaw Nation Show. I'll let Aaron go. He doesn't want to hear me do the boring plugs. Aaron, tell me tell people rather where they can find you and what you got going on, my man.
You can find me on Twitter at Only Aaron Turner, where I pretty much only talk about wrestling, so you can definitely find me there. I will show you one piece of memorabilia if you like.
Show me some memorabilia, brother.
Here's something fun. So this is, if I don't destroy it, this is the pay-per-view chair from what was supposed to be WrestleMania last year. So you can see the logo, but it didn't happen. So you've got all the people that were supposed to be on it.
Wow.
On WrestleMania. And it says April 5th, 2020, Raymond James Stadium. Didn't happen. But I have that chair. It sits there in my office. I have other chairs from WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. That's like the only significant memorabilia that I have that I really like. I mean, I got a cup from this year. I'm a cup collector, so every time I go to a big event, I get a cup.
And you've got figures behind you as well. Do you trade those online?
I buy and sell, trade, do all that kind of stuff. You can kind of see, like, you can't really see without zooming in who I've got, but if you see in the back row, I've got Hollywood Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, and that's like my legends tier. And then the next one's all my women. So I got respect for all the ladies.
Nice.
The 4 horsewomen in front. And then under that's my modern collection. Then Ninja Turtles, The Flash. You got Marvel stuff. I just everything I can get in my office because I've never been able to display it. Right. So now that we have a house, because we've always lived in apartments, now I can actually display it.
I know what you mean. I know what you and I'm telling you this, the bookcases might be making a comeback with some adjustments.
Right on.
Here behind me. Because I do like the clean look of the posters, but in the end, I don't get to show much other than the posters. So maybe I think I want to do something more with the bookcases behind me and maybe get different bookcases, darker color bookcases. We shall see in the end. All right. Well, and also Aaron and I, this is in essence, this whole show, kind of a quiet little promotion for our show that we do every Saturday at noon now live, Strong Style, talking about the week in professional wrestling, all the stuff going on. Certainly, we just did our review of WrestleMania in essence, so we might have some stuff to talk about there. But of course, we're going to talk about Raw and SmackDown and all the fallout from NXT TakeOver as well. Stand and Deliver, all of that we'll cover. And any AEW or Ring of Honor news or Impact news or NJPW news that comes out, we talk about it. Aaron does a great job of culling the best stories for the week, and we talk about it there on the show. So join us there every Saturday now at noon live, kind of like you used to have it when you watched Saturday morning professional wrestling growing up, kind of like that.
Now you watch us.
Yeah, that's right. Now you watch us. All right, Aaron, I'll let you go. Thank you so much, brother, man. Have a great rest of your night. I know it's late there on the West Coast, East Coast, so go and get some rest. Much love to you, brother.
All right, see you Saturday, brother. Thanks, guys.
Definitely. All right, there goes Aaron Turner, ladies and gentlemen. One of the best dudes I know, and I had a really great time. I've had a really great time putting together Strong Style with him and working with him on that show. And like we said, Saturdays at noon, come and join us live. Thank you to Sean Barreto, who produced the show tonight and kept the chat chill. I had to kick one guy out. He was talking his mess about wrestling. Don't like it. Don't bring it here. I'll stomp your nuts out. That's how it works here on the Outlaw Nation show. What else can I tell you? Oh, yeah. So real quick, for those of you who were maybe not here at the beginning, some booking notifications or some programming notifications rather for the week. Tomorrow we drop our Geek Buddies episode. Friday morning is Thursday morning is the Jedi Way episode. We're recording it tomorrow night, but I drop it in the morning. And also Impolite Truths is happening on Thursday night. Dorina Arellano and I getting back together to talk about the world of politics. Don't forget the top 10. That dropped today, the top 10 show. Me and Matt Nost, we do the top 10 show. We did the top 10 films of 1989 with a twist. We actually did the top 11 through 20. 11 through 20, because, we've been doing the show for so long, we're finding new ways to talk about different movies. So we did our top 10, but then on our own, but then we really count down the top 20 through 11 in 1989. So go and listen to that. You can type in top 10 show with my name or Matt's name in YouTube and watch it there, or you can listen to us. Just type in the top 10 wherever you download podcasts and it will be there. Speaking of podcasts, the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network is also out there too. Everything we do here on the Outlaw Nation Podcast or Outlaw Nation Network is there in audio form, except for the Geek Buddies. Geek Buddies have their own feed, but everything else is pretty much on there. Let's see. Tomorrow, as I said, Friday. What do we got Friday? Friday, I don't do anything on Friday yet. There is a brand new show coming. We're just solidifying the logo. We've got the video for it all set up. We'll be announcing it very, very soon. I think you will be excited for my co-host and excited for the show that we're going to do. Different type of show here on the Outlaw Nation channel. So I can't wait to launch it with my co-host. She is excited to do it, and I was really glad she said yes. And of course, Saturday, other than the Strong Style show, the Ultimate Showdown After Show happens on Saturdays as well, live at 3 p.m. I don't know what they're going to do for the free-for-all next week. They're still figuring that out, but they've got the show this week live at 3 p.m. PT, and look for that as well. All right, that's everything. That's all. The Cinephiles. One last thing, the Cinephiles. That's what's going on Friday. Steve and I have decided to start doing a live stream once a month on the Cinephiles YouTube channel. And we're talking about a film that doesn't get the Cinephiles treatment because it isn't good enough to get the Cinephiles treatment, but it's a film that's a favorite of ours and maybe a favorite of yours. This week, we're talking about Predator. That's right, Predator. We did Godfather 3, I think, last month. This month, we're doing Predator. So come join us at 2 p.m. PT on the Cinephiles YouTube channel. Steve and I talking about Predator, the Arnold Schwarzenegger B movie. We're going to talk about that there on the show. All right, that's all the program. That's it. Please follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Subscribe to the channel down below. Please hit a like as well. Hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment. Likes and comments are what elevate the visibility of the channel and any of the shows we do here. So please come aboard. Also, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. We're trying to march towards 17,000 subscribers. We're kind of trudging along through 16,000. So let's get to 17,000 as quickly as possible. If you enjoy the content here, look for more reviews coming. I've got a feeling I'm going to be doing a Best Pictures review run here. So basically all the films that have been nominated for Best Picture, I'm going to rewatch them and do a review for them if I haven't done a review for them, and put them up on the channel as we get closer and closer to the Oscars and all of that. So Sound of Metal, Minari, Judas and the Black Messiah, One Night in Miami, even though it was nominated for Best Picture, I'm going to throw that in there because I like that movie and it should have been nominated for Best Picture. Might even revisit Trial of Chicago 7, which really wasn't one of my favorites, but I'll do an honest review of it. All of that coming from the Outlaw Nation channel as well. So come aboard, all of that, and enjoy the content we got going on here. All right. I'm going to end the show like I end every show when we do the Outlaw Nation channel and that is whatever you need to do, my friends, to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next day, next week, next month, next year. I want you to do it because I want you to be around, all right? For yourself, for your life, for yourself, always for yourself. Your family and friends won't keep you around the way you keep you around. Remember that. Work on this, navigate this, find your way out of this, then come out on top and come out and breathe again. And embrace your life again. Do something positive for your life. Do something, I don't know, how can you say, proactive for your life, even if it's a small baby step, or it's a massive step. You have the nuts or the stones, rather, to do something huge for your life. Do it if you're feeling it. Take a chance. You never know what can happen, and you never know where you might be once you climb through it. So, if anything, I hope I serve as an example of that. Because you all know the darkness I was in 2016, and look where my life is now. So much love to all of you. Please take care of yourselves. Be well. Get vaccinated. Wear your masks and practice social distancing. And come back and join us next week. I'm completely dead. I'm done. Come and join us next week for another brand new live episode of the Outlaw Nation Show. And my guest is Brendan Meyer. Yes, Sean. Who's my guest next week? Brendan the Kid. The Kid is my guest next week. We booked the Kid. He's coming on first time ever on the Outlaw Nation Show. So that's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Talk to you later. Take care of yourselves. Be well. I love you. Peace.